Ooh, what up, H-Town? Hey, how we doing?
He's Blank, I'm Branham. It's Brian behind the glass, and it's a Friday edition of the Killer Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. A getaway show ahead of the weekend. Look who's back at work.
Look who's back.
Look who's back at work.
Back again.
He finally worked a day this week.
Brian's back.
Can you believe that? We have a new hive of fame, too. By the way, there's a new hive of fame. You didn't make it because you never work.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. We are the only show working today, though, so I guess we can't give Brian too much grief.
You know what I did when I was off?
What's that?
I worked.
Oh, yeah, that's what I do whenever I'm off.
Say you watched the Jason Statham
No.
marathon.
Actually, I did want to do that last night, but family got in the way.
Oh, darn them.
Silly family. Can't believe
What
they
were
got in
they
the way
thinking?
of that. Astros continue their. Hopefully, everybody had a nice fourth. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, your fifth is going as good as your fourth. But the Astros just continue to win. Astros continue to plug away. 10-game road trip. They're 2 series into this 10-game road trip, 3 series in all. They've won the first 2 series. They took 2 of 3 against New York, despite losing Game 1 and being down by 5 runs in Game 2 and then having a bullpen game in Game 3. Astros win a 4-game series, which isn't easy to do. Like, you have to take 3 of 4, especially if it's on the road. And now they gear up to take on Minnesota for the first of 3 tonight, another bullpen day. But the Astros, 6 series in a row now that they've won, and they've won 8 of their last 9. Astros just continue playing good baseball.
It's really literally amazing. I mean, when we started talking about turning the team being able to turn this thing around, about the odds and how they were stacked against them with every passing series they weren't winning and as bad as they were playing, no matter in my wildest dreams of them trying to stay as loyal and believing as possible that they're going to make the playoffs, I didn't think there'd only be 2 out before, as we hit the first week in July. Like their ability to win games is one thing because their roster was too good not to. The fact that they figured that out is part of the equation. The other part of the equation that's just mesmerizingly mind-boggling is how is Seattle folding up their tents and just completely tripping all over themselves to this degree to where they haven't won since Cam Raleigh decided to make his little snarky comment about it's always great when the Astros lose. And the Astros keep gaining ground with every win that they're stacking.
Yeah. I mean, they won yesterday. Mariners did.
That's true. That's right. They did.
But yes, Cal Raleigh's saying it's always a good day when the Astros lose, and then they get beat up by Baltimore. That team has some flaws. Every team has flaws, but Seattle struggles offensively. Their best player has not been a very good player, so there is that. But the Astros continue to win ball games. Yesterday, Framber Valdez, kind of the good and the bad of Framber Valdez in one single start. He gets spotted a 3-run lead. It's like, okay, cool. Now cruise and just win this game going away. He decides to call the 3 runs in the top of the inning by giving up 3 runs in the bottom of the inning. It felt like every single inning, and I think it was, with the exception of one, leadoff runner was on base. But then the good of Framber is that he can escape trouble. He induces a lot of double plays. And overall, quality start, 3 runs over 6 innings, working with Yainer Diaz for the first time since he went rogue in May against the Angels. So all in all, I guess it was quality from Framber yesterday.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it just felt hard for me to stamp that one a quality. I think he got lucky. I think that, I obviously understand he's a ground ball pitcher. What do you have, 5 or 6 double play balls? Kept getting himself out of trouble because he kept putting the leadoff guy on. He just kept tinkering with the fact that he was so close to having it go the other way, and thank goodness he didn't. But it didn't do anything to solidify, in my opinion, that he's figured everything out and he's back to being old Framber. Yet they did what they had to do to kind of scratch out a couple of runs. Pena was really good, and they got themselves the W they needed.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. And outside of Vlad, that 2-hole hitter is not bad either. I kind of like his game a little bit.
Does he got the stash?
It's no. It's the lefty that they just called up. I kind of like his at bats. He's a pretty good player. No, Horwitz. He didn't bat second yesterday. He batted 5th yesterday, but he's been batting second. That lefty that just puts together solid at bat. I like that guy. I think that guy's got a chance. But outside of him and Guerrero, that lineup's not very good.
No. And when Justin Turner's in there, he's a professional hitter. He can get you some knocks. But overall, it seems like they're leaning towards. And then Bichette was the late scratch. But it looks like even with Bichette and Vlad, they're willing to move on and kind of press the reset button yet again. You wonder what that does to a guy like Springer who signed there and thought he was going to be on a competitive team. And, yeah, he's getting a little bit hotter than he has been, but he's been awful. And you wonder what direction that franchise is going, that they might not be buyers. They might be clean sellers all across the board to try and press the reset button again.
Yeah, there's been some conflicting reports. Like, is Vlad on the market? Is Bichette on the market? No, they want to keep them for one more year, but maybe they sell some of their guys other than them, which I kind of like some of their guys, though. Like, I wouldn't mind picking a few players off of the Blue Jays. I don't mind Kikuchi. Like, I wouldn't hate if Kikuchi got a couple of Astro starts. I don't hate Chris Bassett. Wouldn't mind if Chris Bassett got a couple of starts. Green in the bullpen, that guy could help you.
That's the first guy I noticed.
That guy could help you.
That guy, for as good as he's been with the Yankees, on a team that's kind of up and down, that's been as consistent, his numbers are still really good with Toronto. I'd take him off their hands in a heartbeat and put him in that bullpen for the Astros.
Yeah, I don't. There's a few pitchers on their pitching staff that I would, if they are sellers, I'm calling about. I wouldn't have minded if they were on the Astro flight out of Canada. How do you feel about Turner?
I like him. You know what? It was one of the names I threw out there, but we didn't know where he would play if he came to the Astros when he was out there and people were talking about him in the offseason. He like I said, he's a professional hitter. I love the way he goes up and he gets knocks. He's kind of been an Astros killer in the last couple of years. He still has some pop, but he'll hit for average. And like I said, with runners in scoring position, he seems to be able to get guys in. I would be great if Justin Turner was an ad for this team for the stretch run.
Like, I think he'd be really cheap, quite frankly, because he's on a 1-year deal. He's 39 years old. I'm not sure how much of an upgrade it is, but I would concede that it's an upgrade at first base. Like, he's going to slug a little bit more than Mauricio Dubon. He's going to be a little bit more consistent than John Singleton. He's not going to get many homers, though. Like, he's only homered 5 times this year. But I do think it's a slight upgrade, veteran hitter, blah, 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 blah. Would it be anticlimactic if he's the guy you make the move for and he's the only bat? Probably so, but I wouldn't hate if you were to end up with Justin Turner. I like the arms more than Turner, but I was curious what you thought of Turner. A couple of people on the Twitch talking about Fromber, 75. It's so hard to watch Fromber anymore. He's a ticking time bomb. H-Tech says that Fromber needs machete, grinding on coffee and whiskey. The bat's bailed his bad word out also. Fromber's not very well liked in this city right now, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's just, I think, it can rub you the wrong way because it seems like sometimes it's almost like lackadaisical, like when things start going wrong or when the wheels start coming off, that he basically looks like he just kind of throws in the towel and doesn't care about it anymore. And I think that can frustrate some people. And also it's frustrating because of the fact that his stuff is so good. We've talked about this. When he's on, and it's primarily what's going on between his ears, way more than his stuff itself. When he's on, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's just, that's what makes it so frustrating and gets the ire of so many Astros fans. It's like, we know what you can do, but why aren't you doing it now?
Yeah, it's the potential leads to more frustration. It's kind of like Jalen Green. Jalen Green, high potential leads to frustration. Hunter Brown, start of the year, you see a lot of the good from a Hunter Brown, and it's like he's not showing it. Or he's showing it, but he's not able to put together consistent starts. You get frustrated with that because you know that it's possible he could be really good, and then he turns into being really good. Yordan Alvarez series he had was insane, quite frankly. I didn't love that he got hit twice yesterday. The second one, the little breaking ball on his foot, whatever. I don't like that Yordan Alvarez got hit yesterday on a 3-1 count. I don't like that he got buzzed by a fastball and got clipped by a fastball in the last game of a series. If you're going to do that, you do that in the first game of a series for 2 reasons. The first one is you want to try to make him uncomfortable for the rest of the series against you. So why are you doing it in his second to last plate appearance? That's kind of Bush League. And then secondly, to do it that late in a series and that late in a game, you don't allow the other team to retaliate. I didn't like that Fromber got hit by a fastball in a 3-1 count at all.
Do you think that they were literally trying to hit him?
I don't. I think they were trying to throw a ball.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to throw a ball inside. I don't think they were trying to hit him on purpose. I don't think they wanted to throw a strike.
No.
But I do think they were trying to miss in.
Yeah, I think they definitely were just trying to not give him something to even get a good chance to hack at that, was going to be around the zone. But the fact that he got hit twice, if I'm him and you could see it in his face, he was ticked off and he should be, because it's one thing to say you're going to pitch around him. And good Lord, the home plate umpire did them a solid on the other one that they were trying to pitch around him on and kept calling strikes that were balls. And before you knew it, he flew out and they lucked out there. But overall, that had to be an extremely frustrating day for him because of the fact that It's one thing if they're going to pitch around me and walk me or just say, put up the four fingers and say, go to first. It's another thing if I'm going to get dotted twice.
Yeah. The breaking ball he didn't care about. Like, it's a breaking ball off the foot. Like, that's not intentional at all. I mean, I don't even think the fastball in was intentional, but he was very ticked off about that. Like, hey, don't throw that fastball into me when you're trying to miss the zone and walk me altogether. Now, if you want, like, if a team did that to Jordan in the first game of a series, I get it. I understand. Like, you have a guy who is scorching hot. He is red hot. You're trying to send a message early in a series to try to make him uncomfortable, to lose some of the comfort of what is making him red hot. I wouldn't. Like, I would understand that. I would understand that from an opposed. Like, if Pablo Lopez tried to bust Framber Valdez up and in today, or just in, try to get him off the plate, try to get him something in his mind, I would kind of respect it, honestly.
It's totally baseball. And the average fan probably doesn't understand it, but it's part of how you go about your business. And it's business. And that you establish the inside part of the plate. You let him know that he can't be leaning over and loading up and just trying to extend his arms. That they're not going to allow that. And it can be frustrating for fans watching it, but that's been baseball forever and a day. That's what you do to a guy that has that much, the capability of destructing a game that quickly in that position in the lineup, because he has been the cog that has been keeping everything going offensively for this team. And if you see it happen tonight, you shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that was my biggest objection with it. It wasn't so much that it happened. It was the fact that it happened in the fourth game of a series after he had been red hot. Red hot. Like, okay, if you're trying to do something like that, that needs to be done in game one. For two, like, again, for your own purposes, try to make him a little bit uncomfortable. And then secondly, just to try to set the tone a little bit.
It was a breaking pitch that hit him in the foot?
The second one.
Yeah, I thought it was a fastball that he lost control of.
It was like 80-something. It was a breaking ball.
All right, yeah, because I didn't see the velo on it, but I knew that it hit the dirt first, which at least helps soften the blow a little bit. But, yeah, overall, and we can get into it, but from a Bassett perspective, I understand he's had your number, but that was pretty cowardly in my opinion to just completely just mail it in and go, I'm not even gonna attempt to strike against him. You would think a pitcher that's been around as long as Bassett, I'd want to compete against him. I might throw different pitches in different locations, but I'd want to compete a little bit.
Yeah. 713-780 ESPN. Astros 7 games on the road trip so far, 5-2. We just wanted a winning road trip. We wanted 6 wins. The Astros have a chance to get a little bit greedy now. 713-780-3776. Get your reaction from yesterday's game, the series in Toronto. Busy show. Todd Callis. He'll be joining us at 4 o'clock, top of the hour. Who said it? Coming up at 4:30. National media, again, saying stupid stuff about Jose Altuve and the Houston Astros. Who's the Texans' most underappreciated player? But when we come back, who is the most important player on the Houston Astros right now? Because there is no Kyle Tucker. 713-780-ESPN, HRP listener line, 713-780-3776. We're on Twitch, twitch.tv/ESPN975. Blankers is at Pac-Man Joel on the Twitter. I'm at Jeremy Branham. Brian's at Sacked by BMAC. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. 3209 says, thank you being on the air because national ESPN radio is garbage. That's above our pay grade. We can't really handle that. I don't know if I've listened a whole lot.
Well, I catch the one after us when on the way home sometimes.
But
Amber and Ian.
Oh, Amber and Ian. But that is something we can use later on mean texts coming up at 5:45. So thank you for that. 713-780-3776. Complaints about Fromber are tired. I take him over 95% of pitchers in the league, so just deal with what he brings. At least he isn't Harden. That's a weird cross-sport reference. It's weird that James Harden's the bar here when talking about starting pitchers. I hear where you're coming from, though, because Framber Valdez is one of the better starters in baseball.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that's, like I said, with the frustration, and you mentioned the Harden comparison, it's one thing to say that he's fully capable of being one of the best players in baseball, and you're absolutely right. His stuff is, and he can be that guy. But because he can't seem to figure out the shortcomings that are taking him away from being that guy, it's incredibly okay to be not okay with it. There's nothing that says we shouldn't be critical of a guy that has all the tools but can't fix or build what needs to be fixed or built, and that's a problem.
Yeah. At some point, though, a guy is just who the guy is. And would you have Framber Valdez, who can be a little bit bipolar? That's probably mean for all the bipolar people out there. But yes, yes, you rather have that than like JP France. Like, yes. So like that, it is true. And that's who Fromber is. Like Fromber, this is who Fromber is. Someone in the Twitch saying that it's fake. He says I was doing things. Never mind.
Got caught on that one?
No, I don't know how I want to phrase this. I don't want to phrase it the way that he said it. Whatever. I was crapping my pants watching Fromber turning that double play. I thought that ball was going to hit the hotel in center field.
Me too.
I didn't think there was any chance he was going to turn that. Somehow, it landed.
No, yeah, it did. And the thing is, to what you were just saying about the fact that, yeah, we know he's got good stuff. He's going to be here, and so you just have to roll with him. But at the same time, it's not like Abreu, where his ability just fell off the planet, and you have every right to get him for that. But because he still has so much ability left, you'd like to see him because he could be such an integral part of how far this team can go. Because if he keeps doing this, he might have the hiccup and the brain fart game at a time when you absolutely don't need it or can't afford to have it, and then your season could be over. That's why it's imperative that he figures some stuff out now.
Yeah. I just don't think he's going to. 6927, I don't mind the fact they hit Yordan, but I hate the fact that they had no intention of throwing a strike, so they were perfectly fine with hitting Yordan. That's kind of my point. Like, if you're challenging him and then a fastball runs in on him, like if you're a lefty that throws a two-seamer and it runs in on him, like, okay, like that's baseball. But whenever you have no intention of throwing him a strike and you're unintentionally walking him and then you drill him with a fastball, I don't like that. And I really don't like it in the final game of a series late in the game. Do that early in the series. Do it early in the game. IMO. 9866, Pauly D. Astros go 1-2 this weekend. Best chances Brown tomorrow. Go Twins. I'm surprised we have a Twin fan. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Houston's one of the most diverse cities in the country, probably the most diverse city in the country. But I didn't think a Minnesota Twins fan would be tweeting in today or texting in today. Now, 1-2 seems logical. Like, you're throwing bullpen day to day. Sean Dubin against Pablo Lopez. I haven't looked at the odds, but I'm sure Minnesota's favored.
Lopez is normally pretty damn good against them, too.
He is. He's usually better against the Astros than he is against everybody else. Like, have you seen Lopez's ERA?
I haven't seen his ERA. I know that he had
Brian?
one other start.
Go ahead, Joel.
No, I knew he had one other start, not against the Astros, where he was really dealing, where he might have had like 9-10 strikeouts, but he was really dealing, if I remember right. But I know he seems to always pitch well against the Astros.
And then whenever he played the Astros last year, it was like, oh, what a great trade. Whenever they traded Luis Arraez, the batting champion, for Pablo Lopez, and he had a really good series against the Astros last year.
His ERA's got to be north of 450.
Oh, man, you keep up with baseball.
Fantasy.
Well done.
I know he had a huge strikeout season last year, even though the ERA was up and down. But, yeah, I know his ERA's been up this year.
The narrative we hear around this town is like how Pablo Lopez is the top of the rotation starter. He has a 4.88 ERA. Like, he has not been good other than when he pitches against the Astros, it feels like. Yeah, Minnesota is a minus 150 favorite tonight. Then the Astros have Hunter Brown against Joe Ryan tomorrow, which Hunter Brown's been really good in May and June. Joe Ryan's been good all year long. And then the final game of the series on Saturday, it's Spencer Arrighetti. Who knows what you're getting against him against Simeon Woods Richardson. So, like, the pitching matchups are favorable for Minnesota more so than the Astros, and maybe that's the case for every team in baseball because the Astros starting rotation right now is in a bit of trouble.
But I like to hear people say that, and I like to have the thinking be that way because the last time that I can recall off the top of my head real quickly that was the case, it was the Orioles series here where they only had one legitimate chance to win against the guys the Orioles were throwing in a lot of people's minds, and they ended up winning the whole series and sweeping them. So I hope that's the case. The key is obviously tonight that you get – I don't know that you can expect to get what you got from Dubin the last time in terms of not giving up any hits, but you hope that he gives you one time through the Minnesota order and can keep them in check, and then you go from there, and the bullpen can continue to do what they've been doing because you don't have Royce Lewis. And I think that that's at least one thing that goes in your favor as well because if that dude could just stay healthy, he is a bona fide stud. He just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I love that guy. He's just made of glass. He's got a bad body, and it's too bad because he'd be one of the best players in baseball.
And he sounds defeated when you hear the
Really?
interviews. He's like, all I know is I have the ability. He goes, that's in my control. When he did this last injury, and I want to say it was a hamstring.
I think it's an oblique.
Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, he thought it was the groin, and it was the oblique. And he's like, I know this feels bad, and I know this isn't going to be good, and I just have to deal with it. It's like he sounds defeated, man.
He's really stinking good.
He is.
The Astros are catching them at a good time. Hate to wish injury on anybody. No, I'm not. Who am I kidding? I don't care when guys are hurt. They're paid bunches and bunches of money. As long as they're not seriously hurt for the rest of their lives. Do I care that the Astros are missing Royce Lewis because he's going to be on the IL for 3 weeks because of an oblique? No, not really. I'm insensitive. I'm sorry. Max says Bregman's best defensive game is an Astro? ? He was really good yesterday defensively.
Yeah, no, he really was. But I mean, he's never look. He's had some struggles this year. Yes, there's the play in the New York series against the Mets that shortly after that, they give up a 3-run bomb. Blanco does, and the game's out of reach. But more times than not, people just focus on the negative. He's an above-average third baseman. He's really stinking good.
Yeah, I think that's selling him short, actually. I think he's an elite defensive third baseman. His range is in the 87th percentile. His fielding run value is in the 78th percentile. Maybe it's somewhere between elite and good. Maybe
I'm
it's
not
like
trying to disparage him in any
elite.
way, but I believe in him as a defensive third baseman. I've got total confidence in him over there.
Yeah, I think he's a top 5 defensive third baseman. I have no problem with his glove.
I was flipping channels last night. I didn't realize this, but talking about defensive third baseman, did you realize that Matt Chapman and Arenado played on the same high school team together in California?
I did not.
You see any baseballs getting through? I don't know who played short.
Arenado and Chapman?
Arenado and Chapman, two of the best defensive third basemen in the game, were on the same high school team.
I wonder who played short on that team.
That's what I'm saying.
I would guess Arenado.
Probably
because
right.
he's a better player than Chapman, and usually you just play your better player at shortstop.
And he seems like he's I don't want to disparage Chapman, but it seems like Arenado would be a little bit more rangy athletic. If I had to say between the two,
I think he's quicker.
Yeah,
I have no clue really. I'm just guessing, but yeah, I would say Arenado's slightly quicker laterally, side to side.
That's a hell of a. And then later on, obviously not with them, but Skeens went to the same high school.
Did he
so
really?
The high school's
What
got
high
some
school
major
was
league
this?
players. Some high school in California, but Skeens obviously about 4 or 5 years ago, Skeens was
El
there.
Toro High School.
But
That
man,
sound right?
those two dudes, it's crazy.
Sounds like my high school. We produced a bunch of radio hosts. No, I'm just kidding. 713. I was a 400 career high school hitter. 2 for 5. 713-780-3776. Do you know who I think is the most important offensive player for the Houston Astros? And yes, I know you have Jose Altuve. Yes, I know you have Yordan Alvarez,
Also,
who has
it's not
been
them.
scarlet hot.
Yeah.
I think the most important hitter for the Houston Astros is Yainer Diaz. I think it is Yainer Diaz. Well, what are you talking about? Yainer Diaz isn't as good as Yordan. He's not as good as Altuve. He's not as good as Bregman. People dog Yainer Diaz for not being able to hit with runners in scoring position, even though he's hitting like 375 with runners in scoring position. The reason he's the most important player in this lineup is because people are going to want to face Yainer Diaz and not Yordan Alvarez. Any close late game situation, you have the option, Yordan Alvarez or Yainer Diaz. Who do you want to face? You'd
Yeah, you
rather
wanna face
face
Yainer.
Yainer Diaz. So Yainer Diaz is critical for the Astros until Kyle Tucker comes back, because any late game, close game situation, the opposing pitcher is going to see Yordan Alvarez walking to the plate, and it's not going to really matter who's on base and where they are, but they're going to make the decision that, hey, let's put Yordan on. I'm going to face that guy, Yainer Diaz.
Did they say that yesterday during the telecast that he could have come up with the bases loaded his first 3 at bats? He came up with the bases loaded his first two, and then I forget what happened where he didn't get a chance to come up for a third time, and they were like, he's going to have these opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, my answer would be before you took Altuve and Yordan. Obviously, I think Yordan is the most important player in this lineup because he just has so many different ways he can beat you. But you're right. If this is not, this is going to be the normal reality of what Astros fans are going to have to face on a consistent basis. Until Tucker comes back, you damn well better have someone that has Yordan's back, and he's going to have to be the guy.
If I was pitching to the Astros lineup right now, there is zero chance in a close late game situation that I'm facing Yordan Alvarez. And I don't care who you have on the mound. I'm going to face Yainer Diaz. And look, Yainer's been pretty good lately, quite frankly. Like, he was 0 for yesterday, but he had a 3-hit game the day before with 3 RBIs. You look at what Yainer's done in the last 28 games, 337 average, 801 OPS. Like, he's showing who he was last year as a rookie, who had really good offensive numbers as a rookie and hit 23 home runs and less than 400 plate appearances as a rookie. Like, he has been that guy. But he is nowhere near the stratosphere that Yordan Alvarez is on, and he's going to be up in these critical spots, 6th inning on, that are tight.
Yeah.
And, you know, at times, and look, I just told you Yiner's runners and scoring position numbers are actually pretty high, but his grounding into double plays are also very, very high. His over-aggression whenever he's in an RBI situation sometimes can be pretty apparent. So I think Yainer Diaz critical until they get Kyle Tucker back. And then when they do get Kyle Tucker back, it kind of, it begs the question, are you going to bat Tucker behind Yordan so you can get a little protection for Yordan?
Yeah, and I think that I would assume Tucker's going to go right back to where he was behind Yordan, and then Yainer moves a step down. You go from there.
Well, I mean, Tucker had been batting second, and Bregman had been batting fourth.
But I think the way Bregman's, well, he hasn't been hitting that well either because he had the 0 for 15 coming up too. So
I'd rather Bregman hit second, Yordan third, Tucker fourth.
I kind of would leave it alone and just slide Yainer down one and put Tuck right there. But we'll see how he decides. I think that's what Dusty would. I mean, Dusty, would have guys all over the place. He would do whatever.
He'd probably stick a righty between Tucker and Yordan and bat one of them
for the
fifth.
feng shui.
Yeah, he'd bet Tucker fifth is what he would do.
I look at it and say the main thing for me with Yainer too is because I think you're onto something that I've noticed, which is when he gets in runners in scoring position situations, he gets a little jittery, he gets a little over aggressive, he gets a little like he doesn't look as calm in the box, and he chases some bad pitches. But my bigger thing is he still has a tendency to chase too many bad pitches when he gets stuck chasing the breaking ball on the outside part of the plate or a slider that he's got to have more discipline on because those are big situations.
Yeah. 713-780-ESPN HRMP listener line. Speaking of Yordan and this treatment that he's getting, is Yordan just going to consistently get this Bonds treatment, or is it just because Chris Bassett, who was on the mound yesterday, is owned by Yordan Alvarez? 713-780-3776. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. 713-780-ESPN. Is Jordan going to continue getting the Bonds treatment, or was that just a Bassett thing? 713-780-3776. We'll get to that in a moment. 4488. Thoughts on Loperfido and Cabbage stinking at the plate? Are they big leaguers?
I think Loperfido is more than Cabbage is, but Cabbage hasn't been bad this year. It's just, when everybody catches stretches. But, yeah, they didn't catch up to some fastballs, and they haven't looked great at the plate lately. But it's a small sample size for the big picture, especially as it relates to Loperfido, who's been better than I think a lot of people expected since he got called up.
There was reason to have some concern about Loperfido's peripherals, but before he was called up, I guess now it's the third time. Because his BABIP was like over 500, like that's not going to last. Like the major league average is around like 312 or whatever it is. He was BABIP being over 500. That's extreme. That's going to level itself out. The strikeout rate was also very, very high. So you could tell that there was going to be a regression to the mean for Joey Loperfido. The answer to the question, I do think that Joey Loperfido is a big leaguer. I think that Trey Cabbage is a big leaguer. I would say that currently in 2024, they're probably better suited to be like fourth outfielder platoon types, quite frankly, and it might be why Dana Brown is looking for a bat. The harsh reality with Joey Loperfido is that in his last 8 games, he's 2 for 24. That's an 083 batting average. The regression to the mean is starting to level out. The batting average went from 372 after he came back to the big club, and he had 3 hits in his first game back. And it's like, here we go with Joey Loperfido. Youth is served, youthful resurgence. Since that 3 for 4 game, after his first game of being recalled, this most recent time, he is 2 for 24. His batting average after that game was 372. It has dipped to 269.
Oh, wow.
So that's the hard, honest truth about Joey Loperfido. Trey Cabbage, like he's fringy too. They're kind of the same player, which is like currently. I think Loperfido has higher potential, which is kind of like difficult for Espada because Espada is like, okay, well I have 2 of the same guy. I want to see if one of them can get hot. And he's doing this platoon and stuff, which I agree with. But Joey Loperfido, 678 OPS so far this year. Trey Cabbage, 657 OPS so far this year. Both are athletic corner outfielders that are capable of playing first base that both strike out a lot. Like, they have very similar profiles. I do think Loperfido has higher potential. I think Loperfido projects to be a corner outfielder everyday starter in the bigs, or at least a platoon option against righties, whereas I think Trey Cabbage does not project to be a starter. He projects to me to be a bench guy.
Yeah, I see Trey Cabbage as just he is who he is, and you're right. At best, he's a major league fourth outfielder that has some versatility in the positions he can play in with his speed. You can also use him if you need a runner late in a game, and so that's where I think his ceiling is. I think Joey's got a high ceiling, but I think when I watch Joey Loperfido, I just think that with 2 strikes, he's got to protect a little bit more. He's got to shorten up his stride a little bit more, and he's got to be able to kind of change his approach to just try and put the barrel on the baseball a little more instead of taking the big power swing every single time. That's just my observation, but I don't know what's changed to go 2 for 24, but it seems like he's kind of hyper aggressive with 2 strikes, and I think that it bites him, and I think teams are figuring him out a little bit on where to pitch him.
Yeah. I mean, the strikeout rate was high even whenever he was, still doing fine. But it hasn't been very good for Loperfido as of late. So, like, whenever you don't see Joey Loperfido in the lineup, just remember that he's 2 for his last 24. Let's just keep that in mind. 713-780-ESPN, HRMP listener line, 713-780-3776. So do you think that Jordan will get the Bonds treatment, like, going forward while he's on this heater, or was that just a Chris Bassett thing?
I went into the game yesterday thinking it was just Bassett, and I was a little bit baffled about the fact that I know he's had Bassett's number, but I thought that's a little extreme to do what he's doing to the level that he was doing it. But then even after he comes out of the game and you're seeing other guys plunk him, and the first thing that came to my mind was this is just what Bonds went through, but Bonds was doing it chasing the all-time home run record and the single season home run record, and Jordan ain't that guy. But when you start thinking about it with Tucker out of the lineup, if this is the way you beat the Astros, is this going to be the cheat code that a lot of teams are going to lean on until Tucker comes back? Because for the most part, it really worked out for them more times than not. It took Jordan with a chance to have a big knock and with guys on base into just a base runner that they ended up getting out of innings with, that they ended up turning the page and moving forward on, that kept them in the ball game. And you hate to think about it that way, and I know he was frustrated, and I'm sure fans would get frustrated if this is, the possibility going forward. But I think there's a chance that more teams are going to look at it this way with how you beat the Astros. You said it. Maybe they're going to also send messages by trying to go up and in and buzz the tower or dot them early in the game to send a message. But more so, if the managers and the guys behind the scenes that are crunching the analytics believe that this is the way to beat the Houston Astros, not only to your point that Yiner's going to have to be the most important guy, but they're going to have to deal with a situation that's going to be hyper frustrating for all involved.
Yeah, I don't think it was only a Bassett thing. I think it was magnified with Bassett on the mound. I think that there is some credibility to that statement because Bassett gets owned by Yordan Alvarez. It's crazy. Although I would trade for Chris Bassett if he was cheap. I wouldn't
Plus
mind
he
him.
wouldn't have to face Yordan.
He wouldn't have to face Yordan. He'd be happy. Plus, Bassett kind of came to the Astros' defense. Well, no one was willing to come to the Astros' defense. I kind of like Chris Bassett. He had that moment earlier this year with Yordan around third base.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
he also gave him credit for getting him. So
Yeah.
a lot of pitchers would do the exact opposite.
Yeah, I kind of like Bassett. He's kind of quirky. He's not like full Zach Greinke, never go full Zach Greinke, but he's kind of has some Greinke tendencies that kind of make him likable.
He can still throw 93, 94 too, so his fastball's not Greinke-esque either.
Like he calls his own pitches.
Yeah.
Like he's just quirky. Chris Bassett's he's not full Greinke, but he's like Greinke light. I believe that it got magnified, the Yordan Barry Bonds treatment with Bassett. But let's not forget that he was intentionally walked in Game 3, the game before Chris Bassett pitched in. And let's keep in mind that actually backfired against them. Yainer Diaz walked in the 7th inning in Game 3. Close situation, late in game. Yainer Diaz singled. Like Yainer Diaz hit a 2 RBI base hit, scored a couple of runs, and backfired. Now, yesterday, it didn't backfire. And yesterday was the full Bonds treatment. And it happened in the 4th inning. It happened in a tie game at 3, and it happened with runners at first and second. Like, first base wasn't open. There was a base open. It was third, but they walked Yordan Alvarez to load the bases for Yainer Diaz. So, yes, the Blue Jays were going to walk Yordan Alvarez. They showed that to be a tendency after the second game of the series. Now, would they have done it if Bassett was not pitching in the 4th and it was another starter? I still think that they do.
That's where I was curious because I couldn't believe they gave the lead base up. I mean, it's one thing if you got second and third, Yordan coming up, and that's a no-brainer. Just put up the 4 fingers if you have to, but put him on first base, set up the double play ball, take the damage, minimize the damage possibilities with him. But the fact that they were willing to load the bases with Yordan Alvarez was like, what are they? This is crazy. And then real curious to see because Bassett's pitch count was up. I was like, when he leaves the game, there's no way they're going to continue to do this. And whether they hit him or just weren't going to pitch to him, I was in complete amazement by it. And then I was curious, are we going to see this from more teams, especially until Tucker gets back?
What do you think?
I think that more teams, I don't think early in a series they're going to. But I think, like, if he comes out in Minnesota and he continues to get extra base hits or he hits a bomb, then I think that it's something that you're going to have to realistically plan for because I think teams are going to do it.
I think it'll happen close late game. 4th inning may be too early, but I'm thinking 5th, 6th inning on in a tight game, like 2 runs or less, maybe 3 runs or less. Late, close game situations, I would not face Yordan Alvarez in any instance, unless the bases are loaded and I have no choice. Late, close game situations, I'm putting him on and I'm facing Yainer Diaz.
I can't see a legit starting pitcher in Major League Baseball that even if they have the track record Bassett has against them, but particularly guys that don't, I can't see them doing that. I just think that
their call.
I think they're gonna. I just don't think they're gonna be that noticeably afraid to throw to him. I think that they're still going to. They might try to nibble on the edges, but I don't think that they're going to be that blatant because that was blatant yesterday.
The hit by pitch?
No, and even where he was missing.
Yeah.
I think he was actually trying to miss on the strikes the umpire gave him on the one at bat.
I think he'll get pitches to hit early in games. Now, it might not be great pitches, and they might be trying to nibble and hit corners. Like, they're not going to leave anything middle. But in terms of putting him on base, I think late close game situations, managers are going to put him on until Tucker's back.
And I exactly. And I think that with a guy like Lopez, the lefty throwing tonight, I think that there's no doubt that he's going to go get him. He's going to go after him because he should have the matchup advantage, though it doesn't show so with the numbers sometimes. But I don't think he's going to back down.
Who's that?
The pitcher for the Minnesota.
Well, he's right. You're talking Pablo Lopez.
Or I'm sorry, Pablo Lopez. Yeah.
But they have some dudes in the bullpen that maybe they love their lefties against lefties.
Yeah.
So each series is different.
But if they face a lefty starter, I don't think they're going to take that approach.
No.
Right off I think they're going to believe that they can get him out by, just throwing sweepers and chasing the outside corner.
Yeah. To me, it's more late game. To me, it's 6th inning or on. And it's got to be a close game. Like, they're not going to walk a guy when they're up by 4 or down by 4.
But I also can't see what Toronto did. I can't see it late in the game, middle of the game, key situation, first and second. I can't see putting him on to load the bases.
I don't know. I would. I would in a second.
Woo,
I would
with
in
less
a
than
second.
2 outs.
Yeah. Yiner leads the team in double plays. Absolutely, I'm walking Yordan Alvarez.
Especially with if there's nobody out, I'm certainly not loading the bases in a tight game. I just can't see doing that.
Nobody out's tough. 1 or 2 outs a lot easier.
I understand the chance for a double play ball, but man, that's a big risk if it's a tight game.
I'm managing against this Astros lineup though yesterday. Like the lineup yesterday was what? Altuve, Bregman, Yordan, Yiner. Like a Singleton was in there, Pena or Myers, Pena, whatever it was yesterday. It gets a little murky there after the 4th spot these days. There's no way I'm letting Yordan Alvarez beat me in a close late situation. No way. I'd rather let Yiner Diaz have an opportunity to beat me in a more favorable scenario than Yordan Alvarez. I am not pitching to Yordan Alvarez. If I had to win a game tonight to save my life, you tell me, Branham, you manage the Minnesota Twins game tonight. If you win the game, you get to survive. If you lose the game, you die. I'm not going to let Yordan Alvarez let me die. I'm not facing Yordan Alvarez. Yiner can kill me. Yordan can't.
But with that scenario, especially the way you just played it out and put that on your life on the line.
Yes, that's how important these big league games are.
But
Rocco Baldelli needs to win this game more than I need to survive.
But I'm not putting the go-ahead run on third base with less than 2 outs. I can't see the team doing that.
Yiner Diaz, bases loaded, or Yordan Alvarez, first or second. Blanker's life is on the line.
Who's on my bench?
Well, you're not pinch hitting for Yiner. Yiner, bases loaded.
I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. I would not walk the bases loaded with Yordan Alvarez, knowing that the winning run is on third base with less than 2 outs.
I mean, the Blue Jays did it in the 4th inning yesterday.
I can't believe it. That's why I said it caught my. I didn't think they should do that.
Even if first base was open, you wouldn't walk it
loaded?
First
base is open.
That's a different story.
That's a totally different story because now the lead run is already on third base. Now I am setting up the double play by doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm setting up the double play by doing it.
I'm going to ask Twitter this, and I'll ask you this. 713-780-3776. Your life is on the line. How many outs? 1 out? Because there's a 2 outs. It's obvious.
Yeah, 2 outs you're not doing. It's either 0 or 1.
So top of the 9th, let's say that the Astros are the home team because now you don't have the option of winning the game. So bottom of the 9th, you're the opposing manager. Bottom of the 9th, you're the opposing manager. You're up by 1 run. You're up by 1 run.
Are you? Is it tied or are you up a run?
You call it.
Tied.
Okay. So bottom of the 9th, 3-3 game. There's 1 out. First and second, Yordan Alvarez is walking to the plate. You're facing Yordan Alvarez there.
I am.
I'm walking him.
I am not walking.
I'm walking.
Now,
Your life's on the line.
I may pitch carefully around it, but I am not walking him.
Okay. We're gonna see how this goes. 713-780-3776. There is a new name that has surfaced up on the Houston Astros radar. Are you in or out on Christian Walker? It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5.
Hey, before we go to the break, a word from a good friend, Doc Linville. Doc Linville, best in the business at the NeoGraft procedure, and he also does PRP, and he does things that can help you get your hair back like those 2 procedures. That's why I'm telling you about the opportunity that you have. As a listener to ESPN 97.5, if you hear me talk about Doc Linville, you know you've had some issues trying to keep your hair and having some thinning bald spots. Don't think there's anything you can do about them. There is. And because you're listening to us, all you got to do is go to 975hair.com, and you can sign up for an appointment and get a consultation to understand what Doc Linville does with PRP and what he does with the NeoGraft. It's a game changer. It normally costs $150 just to get this information. You get it free because you're listening to me right now and because you're interested in Doc Linville. Just go in. No obligation, no signing on the dotted line. There's no catches, no quirks. Just you getting information and questions and answers about what the procedures are and how they can help you once they see your hairline and your scalp. They are unbelievable at doing what they do. The PRP is like fertilizing your lawn. That's when they look at your scalp and they say, you've got follicles, but they're not as thick and strong as they used to be. The PRP is like fertilizer to your lawn. It can strengthen your follicles again and get them thicker to give you more coverage area. If they look at you and they're honest and they say, you're already too far gone for PRP, but if we do the NeoGraft, they'll explain it to you. The thing that really changed my opinion on it was I didn't realize you never are going to lose the hair on the sides and the back of your head, no matter how bald you go in other areas. He takes some of the hair from the sides and the back, like replanting sod, puts it where you need it most, and in 6 to 9 months, you see the full results, but almost immediately, you see the follicles there, and 95 to 99% of those follicles are going to stay with you for the rest of your life. Game changer. I did it. Couldn't be happier with it. You could be next in line. Check them out today. Go to 975hair.com.
Dr. Karen, RAP, 2024 Astros, needs to change that Twitter handle. They're walking Jordan in that scenario. I tweeted at Jeremy Branham. Your life is on the line. Win the game and you live. Lose the game and you die. You're the manager of the Astros opponent. Tie game, bottom of the ninth. Runners at first and second. One out. Are you pitching to Jordan or walking him to face Yiner? That is out there. I said that. That's the scenario we painted, right?
You said tie game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tie
That's
game.
what you said.
All right, 713-780-ESPN, HRP listener. There's a new name on the Astros radar, according to some. I think it was Heyman that tweeted this out. I saw other people tweeting about Heyman's story in the New York Post. So in or out on Christian Walker. I get fascinated by this. One tweet I saw, the Astros have their eyes set on Christian Walker. They're interested in Christian Walker. Christian Walker is their top target. All this stuff is hilarious to me. Like, I have my eyes set on my first $1 billion. Like, what does that even mean? They have their eyes. Okay, they're interested. It is the object of their eyes. It means nothing. It means nothing. Like, it means that the Astros are monitoring the situation as they should be monitoring the situation of any first baseman with a heartbeat that would give you more offensive production than who you currently have at first base. So the fact that the Astros have their eyes set on a player in baseball is normal operating procedure. I have my eyes set on my next paycheck. My normal operating procedure.
Yeah, give me some kind of backup that says they're doing something more than doing what every general manager in the league's supposed to do. Because I watched him play last night. There was absolutely nothing on television, and it was atrocious. And I was watching MLB Network, and they happened to have the Dodger-Arizona game on, and he absolutely mashed the Dodgers again. He's got some ridiculous string going now. I think 5 home runs in 5 games against the Dodgers, but he has – I think he has more home runs in Dodger Stadium over a certain amount of games. Jock Peterson was the only other guy that did it in his a shorter period of time to have the 8 home runs he's had recently against the Dodgers. Jock Peterson did it as a member of the Dodgers. He is a visiting team player. He had 2 home runs again last night, which means his stock is everybody's paying attention now. So they're gonna if they do try and move him, they're gonna try and bump the price up.
Yeah.
Is that who you want at first base? Is that a guy that's going to move the needle?
I like him.
Moves the needle for me.
He has 5 homers in his last 3 games. He got 22 homers on the year, 871 OPS. He's in the final year of his deal. The nerd stats love him, like the baseball savant stuff. They're high on Christian Walker. I'm interested in Christian Walker. Like, I would be cool with a Christian Walker trade. Now, there's some caveats here, like the whole, the Astros have their eyes set on it. Okay, I have my eyes set on oxygen so I can breathe. There's also some other things involved here, though. The Diamondbacks are the defending NL champions.
That's what I was going to say. Are they selling?
They're 2.5 games out of the wild card. Why are you trading your slugging first baseman who is terrorizing your arch rival? That makes no sense to me. So I don't think that the desire for the Diamondbacks to trade him is nearly as high as some people are making it seem. Secondly, people are saying, well, he's in the final year of his deal. He's a rental. That's going to make him cheap. Okay. Christian Walker's also going to get some pretty good money in the offseason. The Diamondbacks would offer him a qualifying offer. There's no doubt in my mind that they would. There's no doubt in my mind that Christian Walker is going to reject the qualifying offer. What does that mean? That means Arizona would get a compensation draft pick if they lose Christian Walker in free agency. Where does that compensation draft pick reside? It resides at the end of the first round. So they, if, which I think is a big if they're trading Christian Walker, they're going to need a return that's better than a top 45 pick in Major League Baseball. The Astros, let's try this on for size. The Astros only had 1 pick in the top 45 last year, and it's Bryce Matthews. Their 3rd round pick, Jake Bloss, is pitching in the big leagues. So would you be – that's where the Diamondbacks bar is going to be. For the Diamondbacks to trade Christian Walker, a huge if, it's going to be a player of that ilk, because if not, well, they just get the draft pick.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. When you start to think about all this, and we were talking about, like, chasing a starting pitcher with a top 25 prospect in your organization, but if you're looking to get a top 100 or top 50 type pick in Major League Baseball, the Astros' farm system has already been depleted, and Dana Brown has done a pretty damn good job with limited resources in getting some guys with his talent evaluation skills that are already making progress, the guys you mentioned, and some others. But at the same time, the price is going to go up. People realize that you can't just call him a straight rental because he's going to be plug and play. You have a chance to re-sign him as well. But I just think that there's just too many teams too close to making the playoffs that you're not going to have competition. And what does competition do? It's going to drive the price up even higher. You're actually looking at a starting pitcher, believing what you hear out there that's out there as well. If you're chasing starting pitching and you're chasing a guy like that, how much are you going to redeplete a lot of your farm system to try and get those two type players?
Yeah. Now, I like Christian Walker. Like I would like if the Astros were to acquire Christian Walker, I would be excited about it. Like depending on the price, of course.
How old is he?
He's up there, but he's a rental.
It's like 33.
Yeah, he's 33, but he's a rental. Like this is the final year of his deal. I don't know if the Astros are going to be willing. Like, the Astros and how they handle the first base position this offseason fascinates me. Like it's a different conversation for a different time because right now we're talking about trade deadline options and who can help you the rest of this year as you're now back in the race, 2 games back. But how they handle the first base position fascinates me in the offseason.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you move a player?
Yeah, is Yiner going there? Is Loperfido going to actually play first base? Are you going to go out and try and find a replacement that's going to be your next, 2 to 3 year first baseman and spend money again? Yeah, it is. It's extremely intriguing as to how they handle it going forward.
And they've also locked up $19.5 million to first base already that they're paying to be away from the team. So how they handle first base in the offseason intrigues me. It's just not time to have that conversation yet. Maybe you trade for Christian Walker and then you re-sign Christian Walker. Now, that's a guy in his mid-30s that you'd be signing to a big deal. Is he going to go down that path again? Another fascinating conversation. But he can pick it at first. He's a 2-time Gold Glove guy. The Savant numbers like him defensively still. The computers still like him defensively, even though he's 33 years old. So it's not like a guy who's won Gold Gloves and has regressed defensively. He's still a really good defender. The dude can hit. I would be intrigued by Christian Walker. I just don't think it's that likely as people think that Walker would be traded. And secondly, I think the price is higher than they think that it would be because, again, he's a qualifying offer type of guy.
I just think, real quick, Brian, I just think that Arizona's not going to make a trip to the World Series a year ago and then just be able to throw in the towel when it's still within striking distance for them. I just don't think that they're going to make a move to unload. I think they're going to try and get a guy or two that can help them.
Yeah, especially considering that they're still in it despite Corbin Carroll being completely dreadful this year. I mean, that Corbin Carroll was a rookie sensation last year. He's got 2 home runs this year. He's been awful. In Christian Walker, like Jeremy said, he's a good defensive player. He's also got sneaky speed. Had 11 steals last year. Hasn't stolen as much this year.
I think it's gone.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, 1 year to the next, I guess it could have fallen off. But he did have 11 steals last year. The one thing I was worried about, like as far as what was in his profile coming into this year, was the home road splits. You worry about maybe Arizona inflating some numbers. His road OPS last year was quite a bit lower than his home OPS, but that's actually reversed. His road OPS is higher than his home OPS this year. So I'd be all in if they wanted to get him on a rental. I don't think I'd want to re-sign him because, again, he's 33, going to be 34 when you re-sign him. But I would definitely be willing to give up a couple of decent prospects to add him to the team this year.
It sounds like Arizona's cheating on the road. That's what's going on here. They're being honest at home. They're cheating on the road.
Can they cheat for Corbin Carroll once or twice? He's been awful.
Yeah, he's been really bad.
He had a good play in the outfield last night.
Did he?
Yeah.
Diamondbacks are my NL team because Banny Rooster is there. Uncle Banny Rooster. All right, 713-780-3776. Let's get to the voice of the Astros. Todd Callis, the voice of the Stros on the Shin. He'll join us next. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. Let's go out to the HR&P guest line, being joined by the voice of the Houston Astros, Todd Callis. Our chat's presented by Texas Star Grill Shop, Gulf Coast Chevy, Buick, GMC in Angleton. Start shopping for your new vehicle at lancezcars.com. TK, thanks for taking a few minutes out in Minnesota to hang out with the Bees. How's the roadie going so far? It's been going well for the team. Has it been going okay for you?
Yeah, it's been really good, guys. I mean, 5-2 helps everybody's kind of mindset, and everybody's pretty enthusiastic right now. They need to finish strong against a Twins team that's been good for about a month, but road trip's been good. I've done a lot. My wife was in New York. I think we talked about that last time on the show, and then Toronto's one of my favorite cities, so it's been a good trip so far.
Well, TK, we saw a little bit of it yesterday. We were kicking it around here on the show today, but just curious your thoughts on the Yordan kind of Barry Bonds treatment yesterday. It's one thing to say that Bassett, for whatever reason, being an established veteran pitcher, you know he's got your number, but you blatantly just aren't going to give him anything to hit. But then he gets hit twice. You can see it got a little frustrating for him, especially with Tuck out until he comes back. Is this something we could see more of?
I'm curious to see how the Twins approach it. I doubt they'll approach it the same way. If they do, then it's going to start to be, something we're going to have to be very cognizant of because, yes, he hasn't gotten anything to hit. He didn't get anything to hit yesterday. And you almost don't blame John Schneider or Chris Bassett. Bassett's history with Yordan, he's got the most home runs against him than any other pitcher. And obviously Yordan hitting a home run in all three games. Got him back in that game where the Blue Jays were blowing the Astros out there in Game 2 and got him back in that game with a 3-run home run. So I don't think the Twins are going to handle it the same way, but we'll see. I mean, until, Yainer Diaz, John Singleton, Jeremy Pena, the three guys behind Yordan really make teams pay. And they did to an extent in that series against Toronto, but not to the extent where they wanted to mess with Yordan. I wasn't real happy either with that first hit by pitch. The second hit by pitch was on his foot. It was a breaking ball, whatever. But the first hit by pitch was on a 3-1 count. Genesis Cabrera. The target was way inside. If you take a look at where the catcher set up, it didn't feel necessary to me. They were going to walk him anyhow. So why even flirt with hitting him with a pitch? And that's what happened. And I didn't like that. And I think Jordan's probably going to remember that next time he faces that lefty.
Yeah. If you're going to do that, do it in Game 1, not Game 4. I agree with everything you said, Todd. Todd Callis joining us on the HR&P guest line. To go a step further on the Yordan thing, I'm curious what you would do, watching Yordan every single day. And we were kicking this around. That's what we do on sports radio. We talk about these hypothetical scenarios. Your life is on the line, Todd. You win the game, you live. You lose the game, you die. You're the manager opposite of the Astros. Tie game, bottom of the ninth, runners at first and second, one out. Yordan Alvarez walking to the plate. You pitching to him?
One out, first and second tie game?
Yeah, in the ninth. Bottom of the ninth.
Oh, that's tough. Because if you push the winning run to third base, then all of a sudden, a wild pitch, anything other than a double play, a sac fly gets the run home. I don't know if I do it there. But I can understand why the Twins did it yesterday. But if you're talking about end of the game, winning run on second base, pushing that winning run to third, there's just too much risk to do that. So I am pitching to him. And pitching as carefully as possible. Look, the guy's on a roll. He's on an absolute heater right now. There's no doubt about it. But he's still, during this unbelievable stretch, getting out more than half the time. So you've got to go after him.
Todd, I'm curious your thoughts on Fromber. Gets credit for essentially a quality start, but when you look at it, and you guys were talking about it, he had 5 or 6 double play balls. I know he throws ground balls, but he was kind of setting himself for trouble, up for trouble in almost every inning. How would you evaluate that performance by Fromber and where he is right now?
To me, it was one of the more frustrating starts to watch from Fromber all year. And even though, they got the win and he got the W, I felt like he could have pitched better. You have a 3-0 lead in the first inning. He was throwing fastballs pretty close to the middle of the plate. 5 hits in an inning usually doesn't happen to Fromber. I wish, he would have attacked more like it was a 0-0 game instead of just pitching with fastballs to the middle of the plate when it was 3-0, and next thing you know, it's 3-3. He got bailed out on a line drive double play to end that inning. Bregman caught it and made the tag. Then he got bailed out, frankly, by Bregman and his own great defensive play on that Vladdy Guerrero comebacker. You can't rely on 4 or 5 double plays in a game, and that's what got him out of yesterday. He was very fortunate. He walked an 8-hitter who had only batted one time in his big league career. He went to 3-0 on Kiermaier before Bregman made another good play and got a fielder's choice on the bunt. It was very sloppy. And for Fromber, he can be so much better than that. That's why it was frustrating to me. If Fromber was a mediocre pitcher and then he won that game, you would be like, yeah, that was a really good outing. But I know he's so much better than that. I just feel like he got sloppy at times yesterday. He pitched good enough to get the win, but he didn't pitch good enough to be, comfortable in a game that he should have been comfortable in.
Todd Callis joining us on the HRP guest line. What's the importance of Yiner Diaz while Kyle Tucker remains out through perhaps the All-Star break, just to provide protection for Jordan and the rest of the lineup, too? Having guys in front of him, they're going to get on base a lot. Yiner's been much better over the last 2 months or so. What is the value of him whenever you have the three guys in front of him?
Yeah, you have to. You have to protect Jordan, and obviously Altuve and Bregman are doing their thing in front of Jordan, but you have to have a guy that's going to protect him at all costs. And even with Yiner doing his thing and averaging almost a run batted in a game for the last 3 weeks, they're still pitching around Jordan like you saw yesterday in Toronto. So it's paramount for him to stay, at least productive enough that they think about pitching to Jordan, or don't just automatically, give him 4 pitches like we saw yesterday with a runner on first and second. So Yiner's been solid. I like what he's done. He hasn't gotten incredibly hot other than that 1 4-game stretch where he hit a home run in every game. I think he's been a solid guy. I know Joe looked at his lineup today with Cesar Salazar behind the plate, and he probably thought, man, when can I give Yiner a day off? And his answer might not be until after the All-Star break, because without Yiner in there, you really don't have a ton of protection for Jordan. So he's pretty critical right now.
Todd, I'm curious because you mentioned that as well, but are there updates? We know that Tuck is slowly coming along, but Caratini to me becomes such a vital cog for this team going forward because of what we mentioned with his ability to maybe stabilize Fromber from time to time, with the fact that, you're looking to do some things to give Yiner a little bit of a break, but on the injury front. And then as it relates to Luis Garcia, makes his second start, people losing their mind because he gave up 2 2-run homers. But are you concerned at all with that, or is that just like JV and other guys when they go down there, they're working on stuff?
Yeah, I would be concerned if it was Luis's start before he came up, or even 2 starts before he came up. And it sounds like they're going to go the full spring training route with him with 5 starts, make it like a whole spring training a month where he's going to basically not be ready till after the All-Star break, maybe the end of July. So he'll probably make 3 more starts. So if he gives up 2 home runs a game for the next 3 starts, then yeah, I'm concerned. Even though results really don't matter at the minor league level in your rehab, you want to have success before you come up here to the big league level. The other guys, Tuck, still slowly coming back. We're not going to see him likely before the All-Star break, it looks like, but hopefully shortly thereafter. I would love it if he played in that Seattle series after the All-Star break. Victor Caratini being here is a good sign. I think Joe Espada wants to see him catch at least a game or 2 on a rehab assignment before he's activated. So possibly by the end of the homestand, but maybe they'll let him go until after the All-Star break as well. So it's kind of all hands on deck with the guys that came on this trip for all 10 games. A day off on Monday, which will be much needed, especially for the bullpen, with today being a bullpen day. And then hopefully shortly after that 6-game homestand and the All-Star break, we'll see the Tuckers and the Caratinis. And beyond that, the Luis Garcias come back to the team.
Todd Callis joining us on the HRP guest line. Sean Dubin gets to start another bullpen day today. Really good against the Mets. Went 3 1/3 in that contest. Were we expecting the same today for Dubin, 55 pitches in that game? Or do you think that if he pitches well, they could extend him a little bit further than 3 1/3?
Yeah, you could probably push him a little bit to 60, 65, I think. To me, it's still not ideal. I know this is the plan for the Astros, and I know Blummer and I are just employees of the Astros. We don't make these decisions. So, but I don't love it. I don't love having a 10-game road trip with no days off once the trip started and having 2 bullpen days. I just feel like it puts a lot of pressure on your pen to be perfect. And even if they are perfect, you're going to be using guys a bunch trying to get to that off day on Monday that have been used a lot, not only in this road trip, but all season long. So it's the way the Astros have decided to go, so hopefully it works for the best. And so far, it's hard to argue with 5-2. But there's also paybacks on the backside of it if you overtax guys in the first 90, 95 games and how they finish in September. So even though I don't love it, I think that's the plan for now. And Sean Dubin's going to hopefully get 60 or 65 pitches. If we can go 4 to 5 innings, that would be a perfect scenario for Joe Espada tonight.
Todd, I'm kind of curious if this is the key series as we go forward for what the Astros are looking to do between now and the deadline. Because as you mentioned, Dubin in a bullpen today. We know that Spencer Arrighetti has been up and down, and there's concerns with him pitching the last game of this road trip. And you know that the rumors have been out there that they might be looking for starting pitching help, and maybe also because of what you said, because you tax your bullpen regardless. And then from a hitting perspective too, because Joey Loperfido we were talking about today, the fact that as hot as he was early, he's kind of cooled off and he's been struggling lately. Chaz hasn't been what he was a year ago. Is this a key series to dictate how aggressive the Astros get for the deadline?
I don't look at it necessarily as this series, and I feel like this series is going to be a big challenge. The Twins are playing really well. They have Pablo Lopez lined up today, Joe Ryan tomorrow, Simeon Woods Richardson on Sunday. To me, this is going to be a very tough leg of the road trip, and it wouldn't surprise me to see the Astros lose 2 out of 3 to the Twins, just because they've been playing good baseball, and the Astros don't necessarily have Fromber and Vernell for this series. But going back to your question, I think it all hinges on when Justin Verlander comes back. We know Luis Garcia's on his path back, 3 more rehab starts, and then he'll be good to go. So until they determine a timeline when Verlander comes back, will dictate how aggressive they are, how desperate they are, if you want to use that term, at the trade deadline. Because you simply cannot go with who you have in your rotation now every 5 days from now till the end of this season without having a backup plan. So, this series is important. If they win it, my gosh, it'll be, an incredible road trip. If they can somehow win this series and go 7-3, that would be phenomenal. But I don't necessarily think this is the series that determines their fate of how they aggressively go after pitchers at the trade deadline. I think it's more based on Verlander's timeline.
Pitching matchup favors Minnesota really throughout the series. Tomorrow will be a fun one with Hunter Brown and Joe Ryan going toe-to-toe. But even if they win one in Minnesota, it's a winning road trip. It's all that you ask for. Twins, you're getting to avoid Royce Lewis, who's one of the better hitters in baseball when he's right. He's just usually not healthy. But 2 former Astros in the lineup today, Correa, Vasquez, 2 World Series winning Astros in the lineup. What are the Stros getting with this offense, who has been on fire recently for Minnesota?
Yeah, they're getting a team playing with a lot of confidence. Correa is having his best year as a Twin and maybe the best year of his career, one of his 2 best years of his career, going back to his best year with the Astros. He should be an all-star. Vasquez obviously knows the Astros lineup very well, so he's a weapon for them behind the plate. Jose Miranda has been hitting at an unbelievable rate for them. He's their DH today. Royce Lewis is going to hurt. There's no doubt about it. We missed Royce Lewis the first time around when they were in Houston. He was just on a rehab assignment then, and now he just went back on the IL a couple of days ago. So he's a big piece of their lineup that's missing, similar to Kyle Tucker missing for the Astros. But the Astros have done fine without Tucker. We'll see how the Twins do without Royce Lewis. It's going to be a tough series. Yeah, if you tell me right now they take 1 out of 3, I'm not incredibly disappointed. If they take 2 out of 3, I'm incredibly excited. And somehow they sweep the series and go 8-2 on this road trip. That'll be, now you're talking about a team that could be in first place at the All-Star break.
Well, and TK, you mentioned what they've done, but then on top of it, to see what the Mariners haven't been able to do and how they have just completely opened the door wide open. You said you were going to keep receipts. You said, hey, if you're getting off the bandwagon, don't jump back on. I'm just wondering if you need a couple of bouncers and some security now to start keeping people from getting back up on that wagon.
Yeah, you know what? I'm good with that. I'm good with standing by that statement. I think if you jump off the bandwagon in April, it's really, why jump back on in June? That means your statement in April is completely hollow and meaningless. So don't make that statement again if you're not going to hold by it. It's too long of a season. And as we sit here in June, guys, there's certainly no guarantee that the Astros make the postseason.
Right.
There'll be another stretch where there's going to be people jumping, feeling like they need to jump off a bridge again because they're going to go through a bad stretch again. This is an incredible stretch, 12 out of 14. But, yeah, I'm not a big fan of April or even early May fans saying, you know what, I'm done with this team because it's just way too long of a season. And they're not all the way back yet, and they may not get all the way back. But here they are fighting for a division right now, 2 games out, and you wouldn't say I'm done with this team if you knew they were going to be 2 games out on July 4th.
Love it.
Yeah, great stuff, TK, as always. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll be listening.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Todd
sir.
Callis, voice of the Astros, joining us on the HR&P guest line. Our conversation presented by Texas Star Grill Shop, Gulf Coast Chevy, Buick, GMC, and Angleton. Start shopping for your new vehicle at lancezcars.com. All right, when we return, Willabits, you never know what you're going to get with the Willabits. You just know it's going to be great. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5.
Guys, I want to tell you right now, if you're looking to improve the energy efficiency of your house, I'm going to tell you right now that the best place to start is Allstate Siding and Windows, because I recently changed out the windows in my house, and I'm telling you right now, it's one thing to say, man, the house looks so much more modern. The curb appeal went way up. Everybody noticed and said, what a difference. What'd you do to the house? And I said, honestly, all we did was change the windows, but it gave the whole house a more modern feel to it, and it's phenomenal. We love the way it looks. But the most important thing is, those windows are great at being energy efficient. And because we talk to the people at Allstate Siding and Windows, and because they're the experts at doing what they do, they explain which windows to go with, why they're good down here in Houston, the fact that they are going to be protective against all the high winds and everything you get in hurricane season. But more importantly, too, for the entire duration of a year, they're going to keep the cool in the summer. They're going to get you the heat and keep it to stay in the winter. They are phenomenal. They can reduce your energy bills up to 40%. Game changer for us. We were so glad we made the move, and the windows look fantastic. Same thing with the siding. The siding is like a hard shell finish on the outside to protect your house. The combination is phenomenal, but if you just want to go with one or the other and you've been thinking about it, the best thing is they will come to your house and tell you exactly what the products they have and what they can do without charging you a single thing. It's a free consultation. All you got to do is call them. 832-204-1936. 832-204-1936, or you can go to their website and check out everything that they have to offer at allstatewindowsandsiding.com. But right now, 30% off all windows, $2,500 off a complete siding job. And with those free estimates, it really costs you nothing to see how you can actually protect and upgrade your house. Check them out today. They also have discounts for senior citizens, military, and first responders. They're a family-owned business, been in business about 50 years, and they're dedicated to helping Houstonians like you. It's allstatewindowsandsiding.com.
It's the Killer Bees, and I honestly have no idea what's happening next. Could it be the next great big food debate? The biggest Joel rant of all time? Jeremy trolling someone to the point of crying? Or just some actual bees making some honey? Well, let's find out. It's time for the Wheel of Bits.
Oh my goodness, would you look at this? What an enormous spin.
It's time for Buzzkill Branham.
What an enormous spin. We're both going to buzzkill something today. First thing that I want to buzzkill I can't stand the hot dog eating contest. This can be July 4th theme, by the way. I can't stand it. I don't like it at all. Who goes to these things? Why are you paying admission? I'm sure you're being paid admission. Okay, if it's free, you'd have to pay me to go. Let's say it's free. I don't know that it's free, but let's say it's free. Who would spend their time getting ready to go, driving a vehicle to, they had this at Coney Island?
Coney Island, yeah.
Driving to Coney Island, which is always tough to get to different boroughs in New York, and then sitting around in a crowd of people watching men and women eat hot dogs. What is the entertainment there? People that watch this.
Don't understand it.
People that are watching this. Why are you watching this? Like on television. Like, okay, you don't have the trouble of loading up the car, driving to Coney Island, fighting for seats for free amongst people that are watching people eat. Secondly, say you get rid of that, it's just the entertainment value of watching it at home. Isn't there something better on? Isn't there like a parade? Isn't there whatever? Their baseball started at 11 a.m. yesterday. Why are you watching other people eat things quickly, grossly, probably puking it up? It's terrible television. It's the worst level of entertainment I could ever imagine. And then finally, who are the wise people that decided to have this at 10, 11 a.m. in the morning? You're going to tell me you're going to swallow 80 hot dogs in one sitting at 11 a.m.? This feels like an evening thing. Like the contestants, like if I was eating all these hot dogs in a hot dog eating contest, I was a contestant, I'd want one of these things at like 4 or 5 o'clock so I can build up an appetite. I don't want to swallow 80 glizzies at 11 a.m. You kidding me?
I mean, it's like, I think you hit it, though. It's like people that you drive by on the road and you see a car wreck. You can't stop looking. You're going to stop and look, and you like to see it. And I think people are watching because they want to see these people. Like, what level are they going to embarrass themselves? Are they going to throw up on the air? It's the intrigue of, like, that whole thing that keeps people watching, because evidently it does do something enough that it's on national TV. It's on ESPN, for God's sake, which is unreal in itself. And the fact that they put it where they put it is because there really isn't a whole lot to watch on TV at that time nationally.
Any other channel. Give me Hallmark Channel. I was
Hallmark
watching the
Channel.
Weather Channel over
I could
that.
offend Brian.
Hey, Weather
too.
Channel's got a lot going on right now.
The Weather Channel has been. I haven't watched the Weather Channel all year until the last few days.
Barrel.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's barreling up northeast.
It's looking worse.
Off day Monday, I hope.
I mean, you
Might
look
be.
at it, and I've got buddies of mine that are like they love watching it, and I'm like,
how? Why? Do you watch it?
No, I don't watch it at all.
You're defending your buddies here, Brian. Do you watch this?
No,
This
no.
is a terrible, terrible entertainment.
I don't want to see the reversals of fortune on air. I don't need to see that.
Now
Brutal
the
stuff.
crazy, like the one I think the one time where I was actually curious was the one year where it was really close with Kobayashi and Joey, and they were talking mess and everything like that, and I was like, if this thing gets close down the stretch, I'm curious, like, how far they can possibly go to,
Close
like,
down the
jam.
stretch, do you have like a notification
Well, they have
on your
time.
phone?
There's a time. There's a clock.
I know, but to know
stretch
that
drive.
it's close. Like,
But I'm saying, if we get like a minute to go and they're within a hot dog of each other, and you're like, oh God, who's gonna try and really let the seams burst on this one and go for it? Because it is great. But then you find out that Chestnut did his own event.
yeah, with military members, yeah.
Yeah, we're in some rando place that I never would have predicted in the United States. I forget where it was, but it wasn't El Paso, was it?
I can't imagine. Well, El Paso does have a military base. I'm sure it was in a military town.
But it was really like Rando America. All of a sudden, oh, by the way, Joey Chestnut's going to do his own contest with Impossible Dogs. He goes 58, and then I find out on the news that the dude that won it got 59. It's like, oh, well, did they need you?
I don't know. Maybe the Impossible Dog slowed him down.
I don't know, man. But there you go. There's your documentary.
Poor Marine says it was in El Paso.
Was it?
Was in
It's
El Paso.
disturbing he knows this.
I saw it on the
Disturbing
news.
anybody know. You didn't know what city it was? He does.
Oh, no, yeah, I didn't know what city it was.
Joel said El Paso, though.
Yeah.
He
I
nailed
mean,
it.
I have memory at least, but
Maybe
at
Joel,
the same time,
did you secretly watch this?
no. But don't you think that the better TV would be the behind the scenes to see if they actually have to yak it all up
No.
afterwards and
No.
how they
That's
prepare
guaran-
beforehand?
That's guaranteed to see puke. I don't want to see any puke.
I want to know if they're starving themselves before and what they're doing pre and
I want to
post.
know. I want to know nothing
You
about
want a
it.
30 for 30
Nothing
on this,
about
it
it.
sounds like.
Maybe.
Joel.
Yeah.
I want to know nothing.
Might be better than the actual
about
contest.
this.
And the woman that won it's won it the last 4 years, they said on the news.
I didn't even know that there was a women's division.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
Oh,
I
there's
think Joel
more.
watched this.
He
There's-
did.
No, I saw it on the news. They did a package on the entire contest.
Was Lisa covering this?
No, there's a men's division, a women's division, a lemonade chugging contest in which some extremely large man took a massive couple gallon jug of lemonade and hammered it in like 60 seconds. And I think there's at least one or two other. I don't know if there's pie.
You did watch this.
No, I saw the news
totally
clip.
watched
You enjoy this.
I don't. I saw the news clip. But the one thing that was worse than the guys was the woman that was like, and she wasn't large, but she's won it like 4 years in a row.
Well, they don't digest this.
Yeah, I mean, Joey Chestnut's not a massive person.
Yeah.
Kobayashi was tiny.
They don't they. I mean, they immediately puke it out, don't they?
I would think, but I don't know.
probably.
I think
don't
that
know.
they do. I think that they do. We'll find out in the 30 for 30 that Blankers
That's
is
right.
all about.
I think it would make some money.
6482, they had a lemonade chugging contest before the hot dog eating contest. One of the losers puked everywhere. Yeah, why are you watching this? 8807, people fell in love with reality trash TV. Watching a hot dog eating contest is not surprising. Reality TV is great. Hot dog eating contest, not great. And then Texter says that Chestnut ate the same amount of hot dogs in half the time in his deal.
Oh,
So he's showing off the legend status of Joey Chestnut. Did you have a hot dog yesterday?
I did not.
I had a chili dog. I had one. That's all I need. I don't need 18 or 20 or 80 or how many they have. Brian, did you have a hot dog yesterday?
I had a couple brats. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Brats. Very, very good.
job.
Yeah, we boiled it in some beer to try to go true Wisconsin
Atta
as
boy.
much as we could.
I talked about that.
Yeah, with a little bit of sauerkraut.
Yeah, I don't like sauerkraut.
I
But
love sauerkraut.
We cooked.
I like it.
Don't
We
like it at
we
all.
boiled the brats in some Shiner to keep a little bit Texan
Nice,
there,
little
and then we
local.
also cooked the sauerkraut in the Shiner. I don't usually like sauerkraut.
I like
I'm
sauerkraut.
with you there, but when it cooked with the Shiner, it took out some
So-
of the sharpness, that sharp taste of the sauerkraut, and it was fantastic.
So you boiled the brats with
Yeah.
the kraut in I was telling Jeremy, the big steel pot.
No, it was more of well, my wife did it, but it was more of a shallow, flat pan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you grill them. You put the actual that from there. That's a fantastic way to do it. My dad would
Alex,
put onions in there too.
I like sauerkraut on my schnitzel. Love it with my schnitzel. Very, very good. All right, there's
Just not a
my
Kraut fan.
there's my buzzkill. What
My
July 4th are you
buzzkill
buzzkilling?
is it never ceases to amaze me how people will dedicate. Well, you got a day off. You have an entire day off. You could do whatever you want, hang with the family, barbecue, do all these things. That you see people that will spend 4 to 6 hours to go down and park. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at Eleanor Tinsley Park, but you go where your fireworks display is going to be, and you spend hours at a time trying to make sure you stake out the parking spot, that you make sure you get your seats. Once you get your seats, you're just hanging out there in the sun the entire day. And then for 20 minutes of fireworks, only to get stuck after the fireworks are over in traffic for another hour or two. And if you're downtown, it can be longer than that. Is it really all worth it? Like, you got to do that? And then I happen to be flipping channels and turned on whatever the fourth largest city in America is using for entertainment at Eleanor Tinsley Park. And oh my goodness, they were terrible. And was it Jody Messina who was having a hard time carrying a tune and was doing covers of other songs? And I'm going, what debacle is this? Only to see 20 minutes of fireworks, and then you're going to be stuck in traffic for another 2 hours. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. That's brutal. I like fireworks. I'm not going to go drive and be there for 6 hours round trip.
No, and would you also then, the other people that like put their lives at risk and they just park?
Oh, that's bad. Yeah.
They park on the overpasses and whatever,
yeah.
right? They're like trying to plan it, going, no, in 3 minutes we got to get up onto the ramp to get up there because we're going to hit the brakes in the emergency lane so we can catch the majority of the show before we get told to move. What are you, stupid?
Yeah.
I've never agreed with a take of yours more than I did this one, Joel.
Thank you.
I saw people, because I was unfortunately out getting stuff at a hardware store yesterday. I saw people started camping out to get a spot for the fireworks like at noon. At noon.
Right, exactly.
For like a 20-minute, like you said, like a 20-minute firework display. And guess what? If you've seen one fireworks display, you've seen them all. It's not really any different than the year
no,
before.
Brian.
I
The
like
new one this year,
fireworks.
because again, they did another feature on
I
the
didn't-
news.
I didn't
they
even
said
watch it.
they have new fireworks that emulate lightning strike,
Yeah, I
where
don't
you can
care.
see the flash
I
of the
don't
entire
care.
sky.
If they put the fireworks show on in my backyard, I wouldn't watch. I didn't even watch it on TV last night. I don't care.
Well, TV's not the same. You
No,
got to
no,
be there
it's
for the
not.
experience.
I
Absolutely
just don't care.
I like fireworks. Luckily, I live close enough where we don't have to go anywhere to watch some pretty good ones. Brandon Baby doesn't like the noise. He's not the
Our
big
dogs,
fan of the fireworks.
our dogs cannot
It's not
stand the
shocking.
noise.
He's
the
not a big
dogs
fan of
are a
noise.
problem.
He's gotten a little better. He got a little condition to it a little bit, but he wasn't a big fan of the noise.
But the other thing is, I saw people on our neighborhood Facebook page going, no, we don't want the display here locally. That big one downtown is the one that everybody needs to be at. And I'm going, you got fireworks within walking distance of your house, and you don't have to blow the entire day going through the ordeal to get there, park, find your seats, and drive home. And that's what you want to see? Okay.
Yeah. I like our buzzkills there. Do you agree? 713-780-3776. Who said it? Everybody's favorite game. When I say everybody, I mean everybody's favorite game. Brian's going to read to us quotes said by ESPN 97.5 personalities, only 3 days a week, because lazy bones other than us. Who said it? When we return, it's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. Who said it with the Bees? Brian got the best of us last week. This week's going to be interesting because every show only worked 3 days. They don't work like
Except
we
for
do.
us.
They're not Iron Men like we are. Yeah, but you're not using us and who said it. So limited a bit.
You're not.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Although I kind of wanted to, I wish I could use Jeremy saying, would you put your life on the line with Jordan Alvarez at the plate? But if this was on another show, I would have. But no. Yeah, I can't use you guys.
All right, let's get
Stay
started.
tuned for the Killer G's on
Yeah,
Monday.
exactly. There you
that's
go.
coming.
All right, quote number 1. You're now in my corner because I've always said the length of baseball makes it almost ridiculous to have actual conversation about what's wrong because any response about a guy struggling and what it might mean, 120 more games to go. And you can't fight it because it's true.
This sounds like a Paul
I was just
going
gonna say, it sounds very Paul, long-worded.
kind of anti-baseball.
Yeah, he's not a baseball fan.
It's either Paul or Dell, I think.
Yeah, I guess at first I was gonna say I couldn't see Dell saying it, but then because it's kind of the negative nanny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you read it again?
Sure. You're now in my corner because I've always said the length of baseball makes it almost ridiculous to have an actual conversation about what's wrong because any response about a guy struggling and what it might mean, 120 more games to go, and you can't fight it because it's true.
Well, you're right. I can hear Dell in that, and I could see Brian using it to try and lure us into going to Paul.
Yeah.
Johnny straight face in there. I hate that.
I think it's Dell.
Okay.
You good with Dell?
I'll go with it.
Let's go Dell Olaleye.
You're now in my corner.
Good
because
call.
I
Good
have
job. You
always
saw through
said
it.
The length of
I was
baseball
hoping you
makes
would go
it
Paul.
almost
Jeremy
ridiculous
guided
to
me through
have
that one. I
actual
thought right away it was
conversation
Paul.
about what is going because any
There's just certain little nuance there.
Yeah, good. I was hoping you would think baseball, Paul hates baseball or something like that and go there. But
Well, those are
you
definitely
caught
the two anti-baseballers.
Yeah.
Not that they hate baseball. They're just not
on.
as
Paul
bullish
hates it if
as
they're losing.
Yeah, they're just not as bullish on baseball. Like I think they get a little bored with 162 games or nuance with some of the discussion. They don't hate
He loves
baseball.
margaritas in center field. He just hates
Who doesn't?
everything else that goes with the margaritas.
I like margaritas everywhere.
I love margaritas. Anywhere. Exactly.
My favorite margaritas as I'm lying down next to a cold body of water, quite frankly.
Okay.
You mean-
All right, moving on. Quote number 2. Should we do something nice for him as a city? Should Sylvester Turner give him maybe not the key, but what about proclaim a day for him? Or would Bun give him some free Trill Burgers or something? Like, I feel like Hunter Brown deserves something really nice.
Okay, so he said Sylvester.
Time out. Sylvester Turner, you don't even know who the mayor is of Houston?
That's the quote. I'm taking the quote.
This feels like a Joe George. Like to not
That
know who
in
the mayor
itself,
is.
because Paulie knows some politics.
Paul would know who the mayor is. I think John and Lance are like entrenched in Houston enough
like
to know.
This has Joe George written
Yeah,
all over it.
it
This
does.
has Illinois roots and clearly just
What's-
absolutely brain fart on anything that's that obvious.
I'm glad
That's
you
what
guys
scares
caught on
me.
to the Sylvester Turner thing.
That's what
Yeah.
scares me though, is that it's too obvious.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that he just said, "I'm glad that you guys caught on to the Sylvester Turner thing."
Can you reread it, please?
Sure. Should we do something nice for him as a city? Should Sylvester Turner give him maybe not the key, but what about proclaim a day for him? Or would Bun give him some free Trill Burgers or something? Like, I feel like Hunter Brown deserves something really nice.
It sounds like Joe's cadence too.
Yeah, I'm pretty
You
convinced.
just want to go
it's
Joe. This might be such a good quote that Brian doesn't care if we get the
it
answer
right.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's go Joe
All right.
George.
Should we do something
Wow,
nice
it's
for him
Lance?
as a city? Should Sylvester Turner give him a...
How long you been in this city, Lance?
What about proclaim?
I should
People
point
real?
out that I actually cut out Dell correcting him later in the
Oh my God, Lance!
like
Zerline,
right
what
after
are
the
you
clip.
doing?
Right after the clip is over.
Was
Dell-
that legit or was
Dell-
he being silly?
No, he was being serious. He didn't know Dell.
Oh,
he didn't know
Lance, you just
Sylvester
made the
Turner.
list.
Yeah,
John Whitmire's rolling over in his grave.
Dell corrected him like
That's
30
gotta
seconds
make
after that
bad
clip
take
ends.
next
but-
week.
Yeah. Save that one.
Okay.
Yeah, how in the
I've got it.
world?
Sylvester Turner.
Lance not keeping up with current events. All right, quote number 3. In a perfect world, Kenyon Green picks it up, is motivated, and plays well. Plays average. If he could play average and Juice at center and Shaq at right guard and you got your 2 tackles, it's one of the top 10 offensive lines in the NFL. On
10.
paper, if Kenyon Green could play average.
Okay, that's a bold take.
I think it's Joe.
That sounds Joey.
Yeah,
That sounds Joey
I
to
think
me
it's Joe as well.
because he likes his takes.
Yes, he does. Trade
The hotter
Frommer.
the better. The spicier the better.
Yeah.
Joe?
I just sounded Joe right away.
If we guess Joe back to back and are wrong on both of them, I'm gonna be irate. You just going to go with Joe? Go with Joe.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, Kenyon Green...
Dang it! It's Lance
picks
again.
it up,
You
is
doubled down and went
motivated,
back to
plays
back?
And plays average.
I've never
If he
thought
can play
less of
average
Lance.
and Juice at center.
I've never thought less of Lance. The fact that I thought 2 quotes
the
of
offensive
Lance
line
were Joe's.
guru.
I was a little worried because it was about offensive line, but I was hoping, hot take, maybe Joe. So,
Well, you got it.
yeah.
This is a low point in Lance's life in that we guessed 2 Lance quotes as Joe George takes.
What do you
Back
say?
to back.
What do you-
I don't know
Low
what's
point.
worse, Brian willing to just overly expose Lance or the fact, and he went back to back.
I'll do anything for a bit. All right.
Win.
All right, you need 2 in a row here to pull out a win.
Thanks.
Quote number 4. No pressure. I don't want to ruin your weekend, Joel. Not
Right.
as if Burrow might do it here in a couple days.
Thanks.
All right. I've never been a McDonald's guy. Never understood the appeal. Feel like their burgers are terrible. Feel like their fries are vastly overrated that everyone talks about. And any shots that the McDonald's Corporation takes as a whole, I feel like they're deserved.
I think this is Paul.
Yeah?
Yeah, because 1, Joe loves their fries.
Does he?
2, Granado loves their fries and said, I remember him saying recently that he actually went to the drive-thru the other night just to get the fries.
I've done that.
I have too. I believe that Dell has also mentioned that he likes the McDonald's fries. Lance right now has completely thrown me off for the next 6 weeks.
I don't think
because
he
of
would
these
use
last
3
two.
Lances.
Would he not? This might be the holiday edition of Brian McDonald.
Could be.
Well, might as well just go and load up on Lance quotes because he's giving you all kinds of ammunition with everything that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, if he's playing poker with us too, I could see him trying to get us to say Paul, because Paul's like the only one who's really like health conscious.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
I don't really know. I'm thrown for a loop. Brian's messed up my mind. I'm disappointed in Lance, quite frankly.
I am too. Extremely.
Is Lance going to go in there on bad take twice next week?
No, I don't know if that's. That's a hot take. It's not a bad take yet.
Okay,
could be
sure.
a bad take eventually.
And he actually does know offensive line, so maybe he's right on that.
I mean, he could be right. It's a hot take. I wouldn't say it's a bad take yet. Now, thinking Sylvester Turner's the mayor,
that's unreal.
It's Mount Rushmore +1 of bad takes.
So you have nothing on this?
No, I'm okay with Paul.
I'm gonna go Paul.
I've never been a
All
McDonald's
right, good
guy.
deal.
Never
Good deal.
understood
We're in
We got
this.
a shot.
We're in
We
this.
got a shot.
Terrible.
We've
Feel
made
like-
Bottom of the
sweat.
ninth. 2 on, 2 out. Are we? Or, I mean, 2
Are you
on.
facing Jordan?
1 out. Are we walking him?
I am. You're not.
All right.
I'm not.
Where's
comes,
Yiner?
Comes down to this question number 5, or quote number 5. That is, what's the point of replay? Why do we have it? Why is there replay in sports if you can't challenge everything? If they look at a camera and figure out a ball hit the person or not when it's coming from the pitcher, which they can do, why can't they challenge this? What's the point of replay? This was after Altuve.
Yeah.
Cleat.
Could be. He could go back to back Paul, or it could be Granado.
Or Joe.
Yeah. I could see Joe. I don't see. Yeah, Lance. Well, anything's possible.
I don't think
with
he's
Lance
using
now.
Lance
Now
anymore.
I've got CTE on Lance's takes. I'm shocked that he said what he said.
Lance is the only one I'm willing to eliminate. Say it again, please.
What's the point of replay? Why do we have it? Why is there replay in sports if you can't challenge everything? If they can look at a camera and figure out if a ball hit the person or not when it's coming from the pitcher, which they can do, why can't they challenge this? What's the point of replay?
I think it's Granado.
I think it is too. I think that because of how he emphasized the pauses and the repeat,
and it's the
the
win,
kind of staccato
if,
version of it. Yeah, I can see that.
I think it's Granado. You want to go with it?
Yeah.
Are you willing to put your life on the line?
See, the only problem I have is I was going to say it's the morning show because I can hear Lance does that a lot too with his delivery.
I still think he's going to use Lance 3 times.
If he does.
Yeah, if he does, it's Bush League on him.
And he's chuckling, which normally Johnny Straightface is in there trying to stare me down without showing emotion.
You want to go Granado?
Yeah, it does sound like
let's
it.
go.
We'll go
let's do
Granado.
it.
What's the point of replay?
Oh, it's Joe!
Why do we have it? Why is there replay in
Full
sports
circle.
if you can't challenge everything? If they can look
That's
at a
2 hours
camera
on.
and figure out if a ball
We lost on the last
hit
one the last
person
2
or not
weeks.
when it's coming from the
Not happy
pitcher.
about that.
Chokers. Killer bees are chokers.
Dang it. Well, we are the bees.
Hit you with the Reggie Miller.
In
killer-
clutch time.
Oh, yeah, well played.
Like a
You
playoff.
could- Well, yeah, if
Well
you're going to go full bag, we'll just tip the cap
Bag
to
on
the
fish.
Atlanta Braves pitcher. And
We actually know the answer. We're just playing to the show name. That's what we're
there
doing.
we go.
Fact.
That's
Man,
an interesting spin.
I was 51-49 Granado, Joe. I was right there with Joe. Like, that sounded Joe, but the stuttering,
That's what got me thinking
got
it
me
was
Granado.
Granado.
like, I was Joe originally, and then when he resaid the quote, and then the hesitation on certain words is why I went
He didn't use
John.
like, did he?
I don't think he did.
No, there's no
'Cause that's-
likes in there.
That's a Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a Lance quote earlier where he said like twice and like within 3 or 4 words, and that was part of why I was hoping you would go with Joe because of the likes. Although Lance does that a lot too.
One of the things I'm starting to dislike about this game is whenever we get things right and we say why we're right, Brian uses that as like ammunition to throw us off.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is why it's Granado, and then he'll listen to somebody else with a Granado type quote and then use that to throw us off. Like he's trying to get us.
Yeah. Well, he got us.
He's trying to get
2
us.
weeks in a row. He got us.
Unlike others on this show have. Others just kind of, these are funny quotes. We're going to throw that out there. Brian's playing the game, and Brian's playing to win.
I don't like it either. Not one bit, especially the back-to-back.
Like my old man.
You won't have
used to,
Jeremy to use next week. I think you'll have Barry.
He might be good.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm not usually good at this game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You've
The
got Barry.
last time you set me up when Jeremy was out and forced
with the return of Brendan Riley?
Yeah, force-fed me Brendan Riley, which was an abomination.
One of my favorite quotes, and really my mantra, one of my mantras in my life: keep your knowledge to yourself. And this is an example as to why. Because whenever we're giving away our knowledge,
that's why you saw
openly
when we were just
and freely,
talking here about 3 minutes ago.
That guy over there, Tremac, as he's called during these 15 minutes, he remembers that.
He goes, bing.
He remembers that. Yeah, he stores it away in the lock in the back of his brain. He's like, I'm going to get those guys. I'm going to get those bees. They called me talentless. I'll show them. I'll show them 4:30 at Friday. With Who Said It. All right, that does it for Who Said It, thankfully. Who is the Texans' most underappreciated player? 713-780-3776. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. Who is the Texans' most underappreciated player? 713-780-3776. HRP listener line. Blankers, who is it for you? Who's the Texans' most underappreciated player?
Man, I was thinking about this before the break. I was going to say, initially I was going to say Christian Harris, but then Christian Harris came on so strong at the end of the year last year, because I've always been a Christian Harris fan, that I think now more people took notice. And because it was the playoffs too, that maybe he's not underappreciated anymore, because now on a bigger stage, people are like, ooh, and he played at Alabama. He's a good player. So maybe it isn't him when I once thought it was him. I'm going to say, am I allowed to say like incoming free agents?
Sure.
Autry was the guy that came to mind other than Christian Harris. Autry's the guy that's not getting as much credit as, the fact that they went out and got Daniil Hunter, and that they have, the defensive rookie of the year on the other side of the ball and Will Anderson. And I think Autry's a guy that is not getting enough attention as a very sneaky under the radar signing that could do a lot for you, that, oh, by the way, had double-digit sacks a year ago.
Yeah, I like the Autry answer quite a bit. It wasn't my answer, but it's one that I like. I'm with you on the Harris thing. I feel like Harris isn't underappreciated. I feel like Harris is pretty appreciated, especially who you're asking. Like, if you're asking their coaching staff, they love Christian Harris, right, and how far he grew in 1 year. Like, he was having trouble getting on the field over, like, To'o, and then by the end of the year, he's your stud linebacker. So, yeah, it depends on who you're asking, I suppose.
And when.
Yeah, because start of the year, I mean, I don't think he was – well – maybe underappreciated, like final few weeks of the year before, like, he had the big game in the postseason or whatever. Brian, who's your most underappreciated Texan?
I think you guys have probably hit on the first two. If I wanted to go kind of maybe off the board a little bit, I think you can make an argument that Titus Howard's pretty underappreciated, and it's not necessarily because he's not a good player, but he's had time where he's been hurt. He's had time where he's been put at left guard, and maybe people think, oh, he's not very good at left guard. Yeah, because he's a right tackle. That's why he's not very good at left guard. So I think, hopefully, fingers crossed, if they find a left guard solution that allows Titus Howard to stick and stay at right tackle, the position that where his play warranted a contract extension at, I think you're going to have maybe not a Pro Bowler, but a fringe-ish Pro Bowl type guy at right tackle.
Wow,
fringe-ish.
I couldn't disagree more.
Like Eric Winston-ish. He never made a Pro Bowl right tackle, but you knew he was a top half starter at the position.
I mean, Tyler Huntley was a Pro Bowler, so.
Well, yeah, exactly. Pro Bowl's been diminished, but I think Titus Howard has a chance, if he gets to stick and stay at right tackle and not be moved around, isn't hurt, to be somebody that we look back when the season's over and say we underappreciated him.
Maybe underappreciated but overrated, because no matter what, because of the money he's making, everybody thinks that he's overpaid.
I don't know if that's the like. I think you
that's
can
a different conversation.
Yeah, I don't think you. What did you say first before the pay?
I think that he could be underappreciated in the way you're trying to sell him.
And overrated.
And overrated.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can be underappreciated and overrated.
Well, I think you can, because I think people just see the dollar figure you make and they immediately assume.
I think you can be underappreciated and overpaid.
You suck. But they don't take into consideration that he had to play out of position for a majority of the last couple of years because of injuries. And if he truly just played all the time, every play at his natural position, you might appreciate him more.
I don't know if I could say overrated, though. Like, underappreciated
I think
and
people
overrated.
think he's overrated because he has been less than performance-wise and way up there salary-wise.
Sure, but those people that think he's overrated don't think he's underappreciated. Like, I think it's a contradiction.
I'm saying you could be. I'm not saying it's.
I don't think you could. I don't think you could. I don't think any player could be underappreciated and overrated. I don't. Not by the same person, at least. Maybe by like two different people.
I honestly,
but not by the same person.
I think they can, just simply because of the fact that people think that a player is overrated just based on his salary and the number that he gets paid.
I think we switched the term to be overpaid. Maybe underappreciated and overpaid.
Because I think that Kirk Cousins underrated but overpaid. I think Kirk Cousins could be underappreciated but overpaid. Like, has there ever been a player for you? Because I mean, if you ask 5 people, there might be one person who thinks he's underappreciated and another person who thinks he's overrated. But has there ever been a person or an athlete ever where you think that he is underappreciated but overrated?
Dak Prescott.
You think he's underappreciated?
By the Cowboy fans, they want to get rid of him.
But he's overrated.
And they always rip him. But when you look at his stats, similar to Kirk Cousins, he puts up great regular season stats. He's in the MVP conversation. He does a ton.
Then how do you think he's overrated?
But no, I'm speaking. I think that because you can look at it if you're a Cowboys fan and you don't appreciate him.
But I don't care about the Cowboy fan. I'm asking you: has there ever been one player
For me personally,
for you're the only person that's had this thought where you look at an athlete and you think he is underappreciated and overrated? I see. I think it's too much correlation. I think they're kind of the same thing.
okay, maybe you're
Dak's
right.
an interesting one though, because like Dak is like, okay, I see where you're going there.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like Dak's
There's
a great
fine-
example for that.
Yeah, there's a fine line to walk to be both.
And it
Dak
might be Dak.
Dak might have walked it.
It might
Yeah,
be the
I
Dak
mean-
line because Dak I think is the best answer for that. Like whenever you said Dak, I was like, okay,
'Cause, like, not-
might have a point there.
Not that Howard is Dak, obviously, in the most important
No,
position on the
sure.
field, but there is a case to be made, no matter what he's paid, that if he was playing in his natural position the entire time, as opposed to people hate him and think or get very frustrated and think he sucks because he played guard.
Yeah, that Dak kind of threw me off there a little bit. That was a good answer. I disagree with you about Titus. I think Titus is overrated and not underappreciated. I think Titus Howard has too much screen time. He needs to put down the screens for him to figure out the best player that he can be. I also think this is Titus Howard's last year as a Houston Texan. I think Titus Howard will be cut
That's probably true.
next offseason, and they'll turn it over to the rookie from Notre Dame. For me, it's Tank Dell, obviously. Go Cougs. Tank Dell, and the second guy is Case Keenum. Tank Dell, number one, most
I don't
underappreciated
think
Houston
Tank-
Texan.
where is the sound
Number two is
effect
Case
now?
Keenum.
There we go. I'll play it
I-
twice. Here, I'll play it twice in a row. There we
Yes.
I mean, how is it not? Tank
How
Dell,
could Tank Dell
had
possibly be
because they traded for
underappreciated?
Diggs. They're like, we're not getting enough. We're not getting enough production from this position. We're going to trade for Stephon Diggs because we
go.
need
Okay,
more
so
from
you're
the
saying
position.
this
Secondly,
from a front office standpoint.
no, just overall.
because the fans
Secondly,
do not underappreciate Tank Dell.
Secondly, I think Bobby Slowick underappreciates Tank Dell. He underappreciates
he
Tank
blocks.
Dell because he's using him to block in the box instead of using him as a premium guy. You don't use premium guys to block in the box. He should be treated like a diva wide receiver. Hey, you stay out of the box, you go catch passes and touchdowns like he was doing.
Maybe that's
and
why
Bobby Slowick saying, we just got a guy that we can just throw him up there in the middle and use him to block, and he gets rolled up on by an offensive lineman. Bobby Slowick underappreciates him. Nick Caserio underappreciates him. Everybody underappreciates Tank Dell.
Maybe that's why they
In
signed
case Keenum.
Diggs to block in the box.
I hope so.
So
He
that way
should
Tank
be.
can be a diva.
Tank
on the
Dell's
outside.
the
man.
number 2 receiver on this team.
We're going way off now.
Ocho says Texas' most underappreciated player is Brian Thomas Jr. Oh, wait. He hates the Diggs
God,
trade.
yeah.
And he loves Brian Thomas
Yes,
Jr.
he does.
What's up, guys? Tuning in as I entertain my in-laws. I hope you love your in-laws as much as I do, Ocho. I love my in-laws. 50-10 could be Fairbairn because nobody really appreciates kickers unless you're just Tucker. That's a good
That's
call.
pretty legit. That's a good one.
Because a lot of people haven't really come around to Fairbairn. He's not clutch. He misses the big kicks. When you look last 3 years, Fairbairn's been one of the best
Yeah.
kickers in the NFL.
And again, and I've been guilty of this, but when he's paid as one of the top 6 kickers in the league, or he was, you're like, okay, you expect him to make everything, and not every kicker,
Yeah.
aside of Justin Turner, is going to make everything.
It's kind of like a closer. Like, closers are going to blow saves.
Yeah.
Kickers are going to miss kicks. The
Right.
very best closers are going to blow a save or two. The very best kickers are going to miss a kick or two, but we still blame them when they do. 713-780-ESPN. Let's go out to the HRP listener line. Jalen from the north side. You're in the Hive. What's up, Jalen?
I think that the most underappreciated Texans player is Kymie Fairbairn. That guy has been making kicks for us for the longest, and I think that he is by far the most underappreciated. Like, he's hitting 50, 60-yarders, and I don't think a lot of kickers in the NFL can do that.
Yeah, he's been accurate, too. Like, he's been one
That's
of the
the
most
thing.
accurate kickers in the last 3 years.
If I'm going to push back at Jalen at all, most kickers in the league now can make 55, 60-yarders. They got these thunderous legs. They're just not accurate.
Fairbairn last year, I didn't realize this. Fairbairn was 27 for 28 last year.
On field goals?
Yeah. I didn't realize
What was he
20
missing? Extra points?
He only missed 2 kicks all year. He was 27 for 28 field goals, 21 for 22 extra points. Now, remember, he missed some games. He missed 5 games.
Oh, yeah.
And we had
Dare.
we had Matt
yeah.
Amendola.
No, yeah, Amendola.
Yeah,
Well,
Dare
yeah,
was
Dare
the
Not
for
first
one
one.
Danny's
game,
brother.
and
The
then
Amendola
Amendola,
family
yeah.
wouldn't even claim him here.
Yeah, so, and then you go back to last year, 2 years ago, 2022, Fairbairn was 29 of 31 and 24 for 24 in extra points. Like, he's got a big
pretty
leg,
damn
and
good.
he's super accurate.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he only missed 1 field goal last year.
I thought, did he miss one of the playoffs?
Maybe. Because they don't. Yeah, he might have.
Wasn't it before the half or something?
He was 2 for 3 in the playoff game.
Okay.
Or in the playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. Because I thought in Baltimore he might have missed one before the end of the first half.
That's right, he did.
Yeah.
That's a good recall.
So that's why that sticks with people.
Yeah, I was looking at the regular season stat, but even then, I mean,
I'd be interested
that's
to know what
3
the
kicks
length
all
on that.
year.
Yeah, I'll be interested to know what the length on that, because if it was at the end of the half, that might have been a situation where, hey, we only got 3 seconds
Well,
left.
I think a lot of people were banking on that was going to be a super close game because of the fact he was going to make that before they went to the
maybe.
to the
Yeah,
half.
I don't remember the length on
guess it. I just pulled it up.
53.
45.
Okay, he made a 50-yarder in the first quarter, and then he missed. I guess I didn't pick it up fast enough. He missed a 47-yarder.
Okay.
And I was
37
under.
seconds.
Yeah, right? I didn't get prices righted.
No, your take would be right. You're expecting Fairbairn to make a 47.
Still, 47 outdoors.
Sure, it's
that's
not
one
a
of
guarantee.
3 missed kicks on the year.
It's not a guarantee, but I'm not going to kill a guy for missing one 47-yarder. But when you establish yourself as a really good kicker, people
It's
then
expected,
start.
right?
Yeah, people then start to expect you to make 47
and he made
yarders.
a 50-yarder earlier in the game.
No, he's a great kicker.
Which again, expectations. You make a 50-yarder, you expect to make the 47-yarder later. Yeah, Fairbairn's a good answer. CBS had Christian Harris. I feel like this is a casual, quite frankly. I think that we laid out the reasons of why it wouldn't be Christian Harris, because I don't feel like Christian Harris is underappreciated in the city. I feel like he's properly appreciated.
Yeah, because he came into his own. I mean, from where he was drafted, I was super excited, and then I was worried that he was just never going to be an impact player. And then if you watch this team frequently, like you said, you saw that last part of the season of the playoffs where he was a stud.
Yeah, I'm bullish on Christian Harris. I think he's got a chance to be really good. And I think he was really good late last year. 713-780-3776. I'm uncomfortable. We've seen a lot of this. We've seen the Astros winning ball games, and I'm uncomfortable with the amount of people taking victory laps about the Astros. I don't like it. 713-780-3776. B's ESPN 97.5, ESPN 92.5.
I'll tell you about bull shirts right now because that's what you're going to like. You're going to like a company that takes care of you in so many ways, a company that's trusted by your favorite baseball team and your favorite basketball team here in the city because the Rockets and the Astros use bull shirts because they're the best in the business. Yes, their name says shirts, but they do so much more. If you need shirts for a family reunion, if you're a business and you're looking to do gifts, whether it be for the holidays or a gift pack for some of your best customers, or you're going to put on a golf tournament and you want to give out some things and you want some promotional items. Bull Shirts has all of that stuff. Even if you're going to sponsor a hole at a golf tournament or you're going to get a tailgate party together and you need a tent, or you're going to go to like a job fair and you need to advertise your business, they do the tents as well so that you can be set up and you can put your best foot forward advertising your company every step of the way. Family reunions, you want to get shirts with all the information. Great thing is they're also local. So therefore, if there's a change, you need more shirts because more RSVPs came in than you thought, or you want to change something on the shirt, they're local. So that means you don't have to worry about, will they get it there in time and then ship it back? And am I going to get it in time for my event? Am I going to be waiting? Is it going to look right? They're local. They take care of you. They're absolutely the best at their job, and they have so many different ways they can help you. So many more than just T-shirts, and you probably didn't know. bull-shirts.com. Go there and look at all the different things that they have, all the options that you can get to, so that you can have options to absolutely make your customers or whoever you're giving out things to as happy as can be, while setting yourself up to look as good as possible with all the proper advertising, like the tents, like the signage, everything that you need. They are phenomenal. They are the best in the business. They've been doing this for a long time, and like I said, for your favorite baseball and basketball team, you should check them out. If you need anything promotionally, go to bull-shirts.com.
Ocho says, I actually hate the Diggs acquisition more than I like Brian Thomas Jr. I just don't think Diggs is a team player, and I don't want him pressuring Stroud into forced passes. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's a realistic worry. I think the thing that you have going in your favor, Oach, is the fact that he's playing for his next deal. So everything is on the table to be analyzed, and the last thing he wants is to be the problem child that for another situation and another time does the same thing that he's been known for, regardless of what he does on the field, that scares people away or doesn't allow them to give him longer-term, better money. So I think that that's why they restructured the deal as much as I hated that, and I hated that they gave up so much to end up making it a rental. At the same time, they did what they did for exactly what you're talking about, because they can pull the plug at any time.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, but it does work the other way where Diggs is going to have to put up some numbers, though. Like, Diggs can be a model citizen and catch 20 passes, and he's not going to get paid.
True.
So it's kind of it's a fine line.
It's a
like
catch-22,
you gotta get some numbers, and you have to be on your best behavior. I don't really disagree a whole lot with what Ocho said. I applaud the bravado and the courage for Caserio to go get a difference maker. I do think Diggs is still a difference maker at this stage. I don't know for how much longer. Maybe that's part of the equation of why it's only a one-year deal, especially when you have the rookie quarterback. So I like that aspect about it. But like we talked earlier this week, I wish that difference maker was the running back, and overpaying was at the cost of dollars and not at the cost of draft picks.
And it almost makes you at least understand some of it more when you have the thought process now that maybe this was plan C, plan B or C. Like Saquon was plan A until the price was just too much to pay. And then plan B or C was, like you said, get another kind of difference maker or difference makers, get Diggs, get Mixon, and see if they can be a difference maker.
Yeah. 713-780-ESPN HRP listener line. I'm uncomfortable with the amount of people taking victory laps about the Astros right now. We'll get to that in just a moment. Astros lineup is out today. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Altuve, Bregman, Jordan plays the outfield today. He's in left field. Don't love that. Yiner DH is Singleton at first, Pena at short, Myers in center, Loperfido struggling in right, and then spark plug Cesar Salazar does the catching. Bet aside for a moment, because we know that you have. Don't be so greedy for a moment, Blinkers. Would you rather Jordan play left field and Yiner DH, or would you rather Jordan DH and anybody else who's not currently in the starting lineup DH? So like probably Dubon, although if you're playing Dubon, you're probably giving somebody else a DH day, or Cabbage.
So wait, tell me, because would you rather Jordan play left field or DH?
No, would you rather Jordan play left field and Yiner DH?
Yeah.
Or Jordan DH and somebody else play the field. Those are your two options.
I understand that there's always the chance that something medically could happen to Jordan, but I would rather roll the dice with two of the, especially with Tucker out and the fact that Loperfido and Cabbage have not looked good. I would rather go for the time being with Jordan in left field and Yiner at DH from the offensive perspective of I've got the two big bats in the lineup that I really sorely need. And I can't afford to have Yiner not in the lineup right now.
Yeah, I kind of hate it. I don't like that Jordan plays the field ever, really. I think it's problematic. I think that it's an OSHA hazard. I'm scared of him getting hurt out there
right now.
But I don't think that it's worth it. Like, I understand. Like, your points are right. Like, why is Espada playing Jordan in left today? Well, he wants to keep Yiner in the lineup, and he doesn't want to catch Yiner because he feels like he needs to give him a rest, and he feels like he needs to give him rest so he keeps his bat at the most optimal level. So, like, I understand the rationale, and you kind of summed it up there. I rather give Yiner the full day off, keep Jordan a DH because I'm scared of him getting hurt or turning a 99% catch probability into a double than to force Yiner in the lineup, which forces Jordan to left field.
But, I mean, we saw him in the batter's box almost get hurt.
Yeah.
And come back.
Yeah.
So if he's going to get hurt, he's going to get hurt.
That's not true. I mean, you're increasing the probability of somebody getting hurt the more they're in the position to get hurt.
Yeah, okay. Yes and no. The fact that,
No, there's no. It's yes. If you do something 100% of the time and then you do something else 50% of the time, there is more likelihood to get injured on the 100% of the time.
Yeah, I'm just saying he's not going to go attack every ball, though. You can't tell him to like dog it, but at the same time
you can DH him.
Right. I just think right now you can't afford to have both those guys out of the lineup.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that's where the That's where the line of demarcation is.
'Cause
And
I'm with you that-
Espada's on your side. Like he's like he filled out the lineup today because he feels Yiner needs to be in the lineup and he needs to not catch today. What is the solution? Yiner DHs, Jordan plays left. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with Espada.
I don't mind him throwing hard to bases and things like that. Where it really, really makes me take a step back and hold my breath is when he starts, flailing out onto the warning track and both running away from home plate or trying to make that catch on the foul line the other night that you go, oh, God, please just don't get
like
hurt.
tracking fly balls worries me when Jordan Alvarez is doing
when there's
it.
a wall involved or a shortstop or something like
now
that.
you have a hazard.
Yeah.
Someone teach Jordan to play first base, problem solved. I guess that's not realistic. He played some first in the minors. I think he was just awful at it.
I would love to see it.
Why not just Yiner at first? Yiner played first base last year. Why couldn't you play Yiner at first base today and DH Singleton?
No doubt.
No, I'm sorry. You wouldn't DH Singleton because I want Jordan DH.
No, yeah.
But you play Yiner at first base, you DH Jordan.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, they're both in the
I
lineup.
don't know. Either guy. I would love, ultimately, when Jordan came up and everybody was already making the comparisons to Big Papi from an offensive perspective of what he could be, I was like, make him a first baseman because he's a massive target. You give him a big glove and just teach him a little bit about footwork and digging balls out of the dirt, and he could be a decent first baseman for you. And then you don't have to worry about him running into walls and doing the things we talked about. But you could do the same thing for Yiner. I mean, Yiner's a big enough body and he's played it before.
Last year.
Just let him play it.
Yeah, see that? Like, if you want to get them both in the lineup, and like if we please both masters here, we please Blankers, we please me. I don't want Jordan Alvarez playing the outfield. If you want to do it with Fromber, okay, like that minimizes his risk because Fromber is going to get mostly ground balls, okay? Like he's also not a great defensive left fielder, 99% catch probability into a double. So let's please me. Let's have Jordan DH, okay? Well, then how are we going to get Yiner into the lineup if we're not going to catch him? Let's please you now. Oh, yeah, he could play first base. Does that mean – okay, so Singleton's out of the lineup. That's no great loss. Like, I like Singleton as much as the next guy, but that's no great loss. And then what are you doing left? Well, Dubon. Like,
I was going to say, you can still play Dubon too, so at least he's still in the lineup as well, and your bases are covered literally and figuratively while you get through waiting for Tucker to come back and what offense you need in the lineup.
Yeah, just not a huge fan of that. All right, 713-780-3776. I've started to see people take victory laps on Twitter. When it comes to the Houston Astros, people were trolling the Mariners. Oh, my goodness, y'all are awful. We're the best. Ha, ha, ha. We're back. We're going to win a championship. They're dunking on past takes. They're quote tweeting past takes. I'm uncomfortable with this. Yes, you're playing better baseball. Yes, I think the Astros are going to overtake the Mariners and win this division. But there's still a lot of baseball to play. Save your dunking on Mariner fans, Ranger fans, all of these people when you've played 162 or you've clinched the division. You shouldn't be dunking on people in July, early July, when you still trail the division. Yes, you're coming. Yes, the Astros are coming. Yes, they're going to overtake them. Hope they do, knock on wood. But stop dunking on Mariner fans until it's officially done.
I mean, it's a risky proposition because exactly who you're dunking on now and the reason why you're dunking on them is exactly why you shouldn't do what you're saying that they're doing, which is because of the fact that Mariners fans went off early in the season when the Astros were flailing and basically took a victory lap. And now all Astros fans that get into the Twitter debates and all the throwing salt on the wounds pulled it all out, threw it all. Hey, this didn't age well. Hey, where are we now? Hey, you shouldn't have done this. But then you start doing it. I mean, the fact is Todd Callis should have been the biggest dose of reality you needed to hear today when he was like, hey, this is great. He said exactly what you were thinking. He's like, this is great, but there's a long season left, and we ain't there yet. We haven't solidified anything. And August is a tough schedule. The second half of this season, you're going to still play the Dodgers. You got, games against your division. You've got the Red Sox. You've got good teams coming in. You have to be prepared that as good of a role as you've been on, to his point again, just as easily you can go through a dry spell where you slump again.
Yeah, not a fan of the premature dunking on others. The Astros have just been the fans have been so frustrated for so long this year that it's like first opportunity to do some dunking, we're going to do some dunking. Let's clinch some things first.
And the fact that they were basically writing the entire season off to the bandwagon conversation that TK made. So many fans were so put off that they're like, the season's over. This is terrible. But now that it's back, they can't just be happy that it's back and you're in the thick of it. Now you've got to go and start stomping on people.
Yeah. 713-780-ESPN. HRP listener line, 713-780-3776. All right. Someone today says some stupid stuff about Jose Altuve and some stupid stuff about the Houston Astros. Who was it? What'd they say? It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. It's always a good idea, though, to join the club at Texas Star Grill Shop. If you haven't done it, you're missing out. Head to 975grills.com right now to join, or just mention the club when you go into any of their Houston locations. They'll honor anything. As a member of the club, you'll enjoy special in-store discounts that can't be found anywhere else. Best products in the outdoor cooking world are at Texas Star Grill Shop, and they're giving you prices you won't see anywhere when you join the club. Traeger, Weber, Napoleon, wood pellet, charcoal, gas, everything. Outdoor pizza ovens, flat top grills, whatever you want, and they'll beat any price for a club member. Stop falling for the trick of walking into these big box stores and purchasing that first grill you see because it's a good price or whatever. No, you're not getting a good deal whenever you do that. If you're buying a grill in this city, you need to talk to Texas Star Grill Shop first. Even if you don't end up buying from Texas Star Grill Shop, talk to them first, get educated in the game. If you're a member of the club from Texas Star Grill Shop, full free installation, don't have to worry about 100 pieces in assembly or a box that's just dropped off in your driveway. Nope. You'll get full free assembly and delivery from start to finish. Texas Star Grill Shop will be there. The outdoor kitchen stuff they can do is incredible. It's like pulling your indoor kitchen, just putting it right outside. Head to 975grills.com, free constellation, and the stuff they can do will blow your mind away. It is fantastic. Join the club right now, 975grills.com, 975grills.com for the best barbecue grills at the best price. King of Twitch is he's how would I say this? I guess he's counter-argumenting. He's saying Fromber is not nearly as fragile as you're making on. Okay. Yordan Alvarez had double knee surgery. Double. Not one, double knee surgery. He had problems with a hand, maybe hands.
Maybe two. Maybe both.
Maybe two. It depends on who you ask.
Dusty didn't know which one.
That's right.
Dusty didn't know which one. He's missed several. He's been on the injured list several times prior to this year. This year he has been healthy. He returned home from Tampa with a neck issue that no one ever asked him about. He was hospitalized for the smoke in Atlanta. What else? He's collided into Jeremy Pena. Now, he avoided injury there, but, I mean, Jeremy Pena got trucked over. Didn't he miss
He had the family issues that made him miss.
Issue. Yeah, it's not really a fragile thing if we believe it was a family issue, though.
But he could have gotten back, and they were expecting him back, remember, after one day?
Yeah, but that's
and
not
then he didn't.
That's
and
not
then
injury, though, to be fair.
Day of, and then he homered.
To be fair, it's not. Yeah, he flew into Chicago that morning and then homered in the game and then flew back with the team at night. But to be fair, he didn't. That wasn't an injury. I think that Yordan Alvarez is fragile. I think it's fair to describe
but I think it's also
Yordan
fair
as fragile
whether
and injury prone.
Whether he's one of those two things or not. The other thing is you have to overly protect and be overly cautious of your best player and players, depending on the sport. And that's why we did the Yordan rules. That's why we talk about the things that we talk about. You don't wish on anybody the injuries, but you know how devastating it would be if he does get hurt, and you know that he has a propensity for it, whether he's obviously not trying to do it, but when it happens, and it happens multiple times, yeah, it's a thing.
I think it's fair to call him injury prone / fragile at this stage of his career. Now, hopefully he proves me wrong and he's the Iron Man going forward, but who would ever describe Yordan Alvarez as Iron Man? Who would ever describe him as, Lou Gehrig or Cal Ripken and playing all these consecutive games? I don't think anybody would. All right, 713-780-ESPN. Jason Stark, he writes for The Athletic. He had this brilliance today in The Athletic. He was talking about current players and, their Hall of Fame candidacy. And he mentioned Jose Altuve. He said Jose Altuve in an alternate universe would be higher on these charts, 307 career hitter, mentioned some of his accolades, blah, blah, blah. However, have you ever noticed that Jose Altuve is an Astro? So his name hits the ballot. Some of you will be remembering about trash can lids, I'm sure. I don't think he deserves the abuse based on what we know, but is any member of the 17 to 24 Astros going to make it to the stage in Cooperstown? He mentioned earlier in the article 4 Hall of Famers that are currently playing that are locks. One of them's Justin Verlander.
I was just going to say.
One of them's Justin Verlander. So he asked the question, are any Astros from 17 to 24 going to make it to the stage in Cooperstown? And the first paragraph in his article talking about the locks to make Cooperstown is an Astro during the 2017-24 golden era of Astro baseball. Yes,
Thank
he
you.
did.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. Yeah, because the other thing too is, and I don't know if I believe that this was on radio on one of the early starts on this road trip when Altuve got named to the All-Star team, and they said of second basemen in the history of baseball that have been named 9 times, started 6 times, Altuve is one of, I think it's 8 second basemen all time that have those numbers. The other 7 are all in the Hall of Fame. So if that's just another feather in his cap.
Biggio's done that.
No, he hasn't.
Biggio didn't make 9 All-Star games, for whatever that's worth.
He also played multiple positions, too.
Yeah.
He was bouncing around. But when you look at it, some of the, I think the 3 or 4 of the guys are in the 30s and the 20s. But then when you start looking at it and you put him in the same category as those guys, assuming that if he stays healthy, he's going to get to some other really incredible milestones, you look at it and go, whether you hate this cheating scandal or not, he's going to make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think it's silly to. I do think that the voters will penalize Altuve. Quite frankly, I don't think it's going to be as punitive to where he's never makes the Hall of Fame. I don't think many people will have him on their first ballot.
Well, look, I think as political as we know the voting has gotten, and with the way that they are, again, until the voters change or the voting process changes. The fact that it can be political, that you can let emotions and personal feelings get the best of you and control your vote to that level, you're probably right. You're probably right that he won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Or you're probably right that there are going to be enough people that have issue The only thing that's any kind of saving grace is the fact that most people, including players involved that have said that they were participating, said he didn't, that maybe that takes a little of the sting off.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the voters are ridiculous. Somebody in the Twitter, whenever I was talking about this earlier, I have to say that Beltran's candidacy isn't hurt too much despite his large role in the scandal, even being named in the report. He went from 56% first year to 57% year two. So, like, we've already seen some guys who have been, like, involved. Carlos Beltran being, well, I guess just one guy. I think Carlos Beltran's the only guy. And he hasn't been dinged as much as people thought he'd be dinged. I think Jose Altuve will be in the Hall of Fame. I would guarantee that Jose Altuve will be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he'll be first ballot because I think that the pretentious baseball voters are going to be like, well, we can't have him in as a first ballot guy because, the sign stealing thing. And he was doing things in baseball. Well, he actually wasn't doing those things, but he was on a team who was doing things that everybody else in Major League Baseball was. And they turned their nose up and pretend like it didn't happen anywhere else.
Yeah, if we did that means that we're okay with how the scandal was handled and the fact that, that we are validating the way the league handled it and that we're okay with all those guys on that team getting away with it. So in order to make a stance and put my foot down, I'm not voting for him first year.
Is there any Hall of Fame where the voters annoy you more than the Baseball Hall of Fame?
No.
I mean, there's two guys who have been unanimous. I believe Mariano Rivera and Jeter. Is that it? I believe that might be it.
I thought Rivera.
No, I think that's right.
I thought he had 99%.
No, Griffey had 99. There was one guy that refused to vote for him.
Yeah, but they're on point. Griffey. Freaking King Griffey
no
Jr.
doubt.
is not. How can you have a Hall of Fame vote and say, nah, King Griffey Jr.
I forget the ridiculous
I'm not
reason
gonna put
that
him
the guy
it's
either
insane.
refused to vote or said that he wasn't going to vote for him.
Yeah, Mariano Rivera was the first player to be elected.
Yeah, and then Jeter.
Jeter was not 100%.
Oh, he wasn't?
Jeter was 99.74%. I don't know the math on that.
There again,
another one.
Jeter had 396 of 397 votes.
So he and Griffey Jr. each got one guy to not vote for them.
Rivera's the only one that's been unanimous.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
It's insane.
And the only thing that's more ridiculous,
Altuve's not first. Unfortunately, won't be first ballot because of people like that.
Right. And your question, Brian, the one answer that I would have, though it's not as ridiculous as that BS, is the fact that in the NFL, to have guys that have to present for you and have to sit there and like debate other writers to when you're bringing up a candidate, I have a presenter and they better be darn good because they're gonna have to fight for me.
It's so stupid.
It's ludicrous.
Just look at the numbers and like, okay, is that a Hall of Famer or not? And I think that's unfortunately what's going to happen for Altuve is people, because they're idiots and the voters are going to look at that, think sign stealing and all that, keep him out the first year, and then you're going to have people point out, it's like, well, look at his numbers after the alleged sign stealing, which he didn't actually really even take part of. Is like his numbers, other than 2020, didn't really drop off, and especially the last couple years, his numbers have been arguably the best of his career.
Yeah,
I've maybe it's because I'm older and jaded. I've lost a lot of interest in Hall of Fame voting and who gets in the Hall of Fame and all of that stuff. I really don't care. Like, sometimes I'll get a wild hair and I'll like spark up an argument because it's kind of my nature. But I really have stopped caring about Hall of Fame stuff because of the lunacy that is the Baseball Hall of Fame. Whether it's like the Barry Bonds thing or like Jeter not being unanimous or King Griffey or Lance Berkman being left off after the first ballot.
One ballot and one and done.
Yeah,
Insane.
I've lost 99% of the interest that I used to have in who did and didn't get in the Hall of Fame.
I think the thing too that I always harp on too is it's not just the voters and that voting process. It's the fact that they don't identify the criteria that they're looking at in the first place, that they at least could have an outline to follow so that it would be easier to make sure, like you're saying, Brian, look at the numbers, and if the numbers are there, and if they did this in their career and they achieved this and they achieved that, or they hit this and did that, RBIs, HRs, stuff like that, and as it compares to other guys in your position, that at least you know what they're looking at. Because some people will say, well, he was the most valuable because of what he did and brought out the best in his other teammates, and he did this, and he did that. We don't even know the criteria for any of the leagues.
I don't know if you can, though. Like, I don't know if you can have hardline numbers because home runs spike from like era to era.
But I'm saying, like, in overall all the leagues, because you can't tell me that Robert Horry's a Hall of Famer because he has a certain amount of rings. You have to basically tell me, well, unless you're telling me that team stats mean more than individual stats. Because to me, if you're going to be a Hall of Famer in a sport, sure, the icing on the cake is how many championships did you win. But at the same time, it shouldn't lessen the fact that if you won MVPs and you won batting titles or you won, scoring titles or you did all these things that put you in a certain category all time, scoring, whatever the sport is, that says that you were one of the best to ever play the game. You belong in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know if you can have these baseline statistics because they change from era to era. I mean, you hit 40 homers pre-Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth. Like, not many people did that. You do that during the steroid era. Everybody was doing that.
You can do it compared to, like, you know, your peers, your contemporaries. Like, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, what people were hitting in the 1920s. I mean, there was a time when Babe Ruth was hitting more home runs than every other team in baseball. So you could compare it to other people in the era, but yeah, you can't just say, well, you have to average this many home runs per year to get in.
No, but what I'm saying is from the criteria standpoint too, it's like the Eli Manning argument. His statistics, unless he stays long enough, or the Vince Carter in basketball. If you stay long enough, your statistics can get there in Vince Carter's case, or maybe a little less in Eli Manning's case. But Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls, and he won 2 MVPs of those Super Bowls, so therefore he gets more credibility for that. And we don't know, does he?
I mean, I wouldn't put Eli in the Hall of Fame, but I think he's going to get in. I think I'm going to be on the short side of that.
He's also
argument.
in New York, so he's going to have won over a ton of the votes there from the writers that followed him that were national and or New York.
You know what the bigger influence there, though, is? Like, the New York will help him, but the bigger influence is that his last name is Manning.
That too.
Yeah.
The nepotism of being a Manning is going to come into play. Like, he's borderline Hall of Famer. Having the Manning name is going to surge him in front. If his name was like Eli White or Eli Whitney, not a Hall of Famer. Probably.
No, he'd be an inventor.
But when they
famous
when his stats,
Whitney,
but
Young,
like you
Manning.
said, but when he's borderline and he's won 2 Super Bowls and he's been the MVP of both Super Bowls, some people think that makes him good enough no matter what.
I don't have a problem with him being in the Hall of Fame.
I think he's going to get in.
You can argue that he shouldn't be. Okay, yeah, cool. I have no problem with him being in. Usually my anger when it comes to Hall of Fame voting is like stupid stuff like not voting Derek Jeter and King Griffey unanimous or like not having Jose Altuve as a first ballot guy. It's usually the guys who don't get in. It's usually the guys who get snubbed. Like the last time I was really like up in arms about a Hall of Fame decision was Lance Berkman.
No question.
Like you stack up Lance Berkman's numbers with some guys like Scott Rowland, I think made the Hall of Fame the year that Lance Berkman got voted off.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that Berkman's a better player. I'm saying that Lance Berkman shouldn't have been off after the first ballot and Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer. The difference between them isn't that great. Scott Rowland, elite defender. Berkman, probably a better offensive player. The great switch hitters of our generation, people look to Chipper Jones. Compare Lance Berkman's numbers to Chipper Jones. Berkman stacks up.
Eddie Murray, too, I think.
Yeah, but that's not really our generation. Like
That's
Chipper and Lance were more in the same generation. And I think Chipper's like the only switch hitter of this generation that has made the Hall of Fame recently. And it's like, okay, his numbers don't, Lance Berkman stacks up with Chipper and in some ways is better than Chipper. Chipper has volume. Lance kind of has like the slash stuff.
Don't call him Larry, by the way.
I digress. Does he get upset at that?
Yeah,
It's his name.
That's what everybody. That's the taunt everywhere he went on the road. Larry, because he wanted to be called Chipper.
That's funny. All right, 713-780-ESPN, HRP listener line, 713-780-3776. Is he a twin or is he a Blankers?
Cast member of Purple Rain.
Oh, very good. We'll do it next. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. Is he a twin or is he a
cast member of the movie Purple Rain?
I've never seen the Purple Rain.
I didn't know it was a movie. I knew it was a song. They made a movie?
Stop it. Now you're playing naive and
No,
dumb because I
no,
already know
no.
that you know this.
Jeremy, did you know it was a movie?
Extreme,
I
yes.
had no idea.
Yeah, okay, good.
I know.
Why do you
I
think
know.
he's playing dumb?
I know it was a song by Prince.
Because he knows enough about, and he likes enough wide ranges of music that I would think that he would know that there was a movie about Prince.
I know Prince. Was it like a like?
You're
I'm being
overselling
legit. I'm being legit. Is it a movie with like a fictional movie with the script, or is it like a concert tour movie?
It is based on his life story of how he became famous.
Okay, so it's like a documentary. Okay,
so it's a movie.
It's a movie, yes, and it's. I think there was some fabrication along the way, but it was
Hollywooded up.
It was based upon his life story.
Quasi documentary, not fiction, not in the
So, like the bar, the very famous bar in Minneapolis was called First Avenue, and First Avenue is where Prince and a series of other artists got their start, and they would all go there, and everybody would go to First Avenue, and then how that kind of dynamic worked, and how he took that to the next level, and everything that went with it.
What year was this released?
I have no idea, but I would assume when Prince was really at his peak, so probably maybe late 80s?
Late 80s, early 90s, probably. Okay.
Yeah, when you first say the cast member of Purple Rain, I thought it was people in the music video, to be honest.
So did I.
So I won't give you Apollonia because she didn't play. It's not going to be too challenging.
Left-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
All right.
I haven't seen a lot of Apollonias on the mound.
All right, we got 7 of them?
I got more than that. Yeah,
All right, well, we need to break some ties. We go best of 7. That's a baseball number.
Yep.
If we need to break some ties, we got extra innings.
I got
Manfred Man.
Okay.
All right.
I thought you hated the Manfred Man.
I do so much.
I don't like
Don't trigger me late on a Friday.
Austin Martin.
Okay, so I'm going first. Austin Martin. That sounds baseball-y. So I'm going to say cast member in Purple Rain.
I've never heard of an Austin Martin, so I'm going to go. Okay, he threw me off. I'm going to go cast member as well.
Austin Martin's an outfielder for the Minnesota Twins, and I thought it might catch you because it sounds like Aston Martin. That sounds like you could make a funny name as a performer in the movie.
Isn't Aston Martin a car?
Yeah,
it's a car. It's a British car.
Yeah.
Don't they have a team in the F1? Aston Martin?
No idea.
I think they do.
No idea.
It's a pretty big name car company.
I usually only spend my time at the top of the grid.
Okay, so you guys each missed that one. Jeremy's up. Second one, Jesse Johnson.
I'm going to go with a cast member of the Purple Rain thing.
Same.
He is indeed a guitarist for the group The Time.
And an actor?
And he also starred as himself in the movie.
Wow, a man of many.
How was the acting quality in this movie if it's a bunch of musicians acting?
It was okay. I mean, if they're playing themselves, if they played themselves, chances are they did okay.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen Ronda Rousey play herself, and she was terrible.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Terrible. That's
Pretty
the worst
bad.
acting I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
Entourage, the movie. Oh, she was brutal.
I didn't see the movie, and I love
She's
the
so
show.
bad.
Okay, third one. Brian, you're up?
Yeah.
Okay. Jerome Benton.
I'm going to go Purple Rain cast member.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, he is indeed. And again, if you knew that there was a group called The Time, the lead singer.
I've heard of, yeah, they were in the movie, what was the
Purple
movie?
Rain. Oh.
No. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, I think.
Okay, that
Morris
too.
Morris Day and the Time played.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
in a lot of the songs, Morris Day will refer and go, Jesse, now Jerome, when they're playing the guitar. And also Jerome carried a mirror so Morris could see himself.
So, that sounds like a wrestling gimmick.
I'm going to need you to start doing that for me, Blankers.
Yeah, I don't know that Jerome actually played an instrument. His main job was to carry a mirror on stage and dance along with Morris Day.
I think that was the narcissist Lex Luger.
Yeah.
All right, so we're tied at 2?
Yeah, we both have 2 right.
Okay.
Number 4.
Griffin Jacks.
That's man, that's a tough one. That sounds like a. I'm gonna go with a baseball player.
Credit to Jeremy for saying it out loud, like, "Oh, I know that. Oh, wait, I gotta try to trick B-Mac." I totally caught that. You didn't fool me there. But unfortunately for you, I also 100% know that's a baseball player.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, you're like, "Oh, wait,
call,
no, boy, I gotta.
That's
I gotta play it back."
I think he's a starting pitcher. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
He is a.
I'm gonna play the sound for the set before. Yeah, I knew that one right away.
I was like, I need a bluff here for a second.
Yeah, you were trying to put your hand over your mouth, trying to keep it in.
I was trying to hide my laugh.
Next one?
Yep, we're both 3 out of 4.
Billy Sparks.
That I'm gonna say cast member of Purple Rain.
Yeah, me too.
That sounds like a musician.
I think I've heard this guy before. I think like as a musician.
Billy Sparks also, yes, he was a cast member of Purple Rain. He played himself, not coincidentally.
I feel like I've heard that name before.
I think he was in the Revolution.
Oh, that's
Band.
probably why.
Prince's band. All right, Clarence Williams III.
Clarence Williams III. I'll go cast member of the band.
Yeah, I've never heard that name, so I'm going to say cast member of the band.
He played Prince's father in the movie. I thought the name might throw you guys off. Obviously, I was wrong on that one. All right.
Is this number 6?
I think so.
No, it's got to be an odd number if you're going first.
Oh, yeah, so this is 7. Are we both 5 out of 6, and this is number 7?
I think that's right.
Number
Okay.
7.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
tied late.
Yep.
Des Dickerson.
Des Dickerson. I'm gonna say Minnesota Twin. I feel like that feels like a baseball name to me.
I've never heard this name. I'm going to go cast member of the movie.
Jeremy's right.
Yes.
Oh,
Des Dickerson was the main guitar player for Prince and the Revolution. And
man, it sounds like a baseball name.
I've told you guys
Which
I know
is why I
so much
used
about
it.
music. I know about music, movies, and the arts.
R.I.P. Des.
You've literally said the opposite.
I am a sophisticated. I know about all of the arts and the game blouses.
The other
Yep,
one,
yep.
the twins
Blouses.
that I had that where I was trying to hopefully sound like cast members.
There were twins in the band?
No, the twins. Cole Sands,
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a twin.
Brooks Lee.
That's a twin.
That's what I'm saying. These are the twins that I thought might sound like a cast member.
Yeah.
And Caleb Thielbar.
That's a twin.
Yeah, I knew Thielbar. I didn't know
kind
the
of
other
figured
two.
you guys would. So I
Brooks
stayed
Lee,
away
I
from
think,
it.
isn't Brooks Lee the guy they called up recently? Like the guy who's
Oh
supposed
yeah,
to be
yeah,
their
he's
top
a top
prospect?
prospect. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
an
So,
infielder.
I think
Yeah,
he's
they
their
just.
top
I think they
prospect.
just called him up within the last week.
They called him up when they placed Royce Lewis on the IL.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
There you go.
And then Thibar. What is
Yeah.
he? What position does he play?
He's pitcher.
Pitcher, and then who's the other one?
Brooks Lee.
No, the other guy.
Oh.
Brooks Lee, Thibar, and you had a third.
Cole Sands.
He's a pitcher, I think.
He is.
Pitcher. All right. I win. All right. Car wreck of the day coming up next every
Screw
Friday.
you, B-Mac. Now you're ruined for the weekend, too.
Car wreck of the day are all the mean things you say to us. Not too late.
We just
either.
heard a mean thing right there.
What'd you say?
He told me
Screw you,
yeah.
B-Mac. You screwed us on who said it, so now he can be upset he lost and have a bad weekend, too.
There you go. There you go. People are sending us pictures of their brisket, and I love it. Cole sent us a picture of the brisket. Looks
Hopefully
really
not
good.
Lance.
Yeah, Lance is still using a brisket from when Sylvester Turner was mayor.
Yeah. All right. 713-780-ESPN. HRP listener line 713-780-3776. Time for mean things you say to us. Still got 14 minutes. Send us some mean stuff. It's the Bees on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. Mean text. Send us all your mean texts. 713-780-3776. You didn't play Sean Dubin's music, Brian.
For a reason.
We don't have music for bullpen days. What does Dubin give to the Astros today?
I
Can he
think
give
this
them
is
4
fitting
innings?
for a bullpen day.
It probably is.
2 2/3.
Ooh.
He gives you 2 2/3 and 3.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
Yeah, I'll pass. I'll take the unknown over that.
I hope you're right.
He was dominant against the Mets.
Yep.
Dominant.
Yes, he was.
See if he gives him a bit longer than that. I did hear Dana Brown, whenever he was on with the flagship this week, and the other guys asked him questions for the first time ever. He said he's trying to stretch Dubin out. So it seems like they might be trying to make him a starter. And he's trying to stretch him out.
Any deal they like?
But if they're going to stretch him out, and this is the final bullpen day, then they're probably going to have to send him down to Sugarland.
Does that say something about Verlander?
And what about Bloss?
No, I think it's just insurance. Bloss is pitching tomorrow, rehab start with Sugarland. I think it's just insurance.
Okay, I hope you're right.
I mean, I said Verlander's starting to throw, and he's going to be back after the All-Star game. But yes, you can't trust the Astros with injuries.
Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth.
I don't think it's a clue, though. I think it's more insurance. But I willing to admit I could be wrong, which is very, very off.
I mean, I guess best case scenario would be it's 6-man rotation when Verlander comes back, and he's the 6th man.
Well, no, because Bloss would.
Bloss is going to be.
I know, but why else would you stretch him out?
Insurance. There's nobody else.
I guess.
Like Dubin, like he's currently your 5th starter.
Yeah.
Because Verlander's out, because Bloss is out, because
Arrighetti scares the hell out of everybody.
But Arrighetti's still a 5.
I know for now.
He's actually a 4. Dubin's actually a 5. Yeah.
Hard times.
Not great. Yeah, people are sending us their meats too, because I mentioned that people are tweeting us their meats. I'm so hungry right now.
I am too, but why does everybody feel like why are they taking picture? I almost said that the wrong way. Why are they taking picture of the food they're preparing?
It's very common. People like to send pictures of what they cooked and prepared. It's like a flex kind of.
Yeah, that's food especially on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's pretty popular for a while.
Yeah, foodies.
I was guilty of that in New Orleans. I took a picture of my food right before I ate it.
I don't mind that at all.
Food in New Orleans that you bought that was
the Tex-Mex food that Jeremy crushed me for. Yeah.
I mean, I put TikToks to the places I eat at Jeremy J. Branham on TikTok. I don't have any issue with people sending meats.
I just don't need to see what everybody. Hey, look, here I am. Here's what I'm eating. I don't care. I'm not.
I like how they look. I'm a bit of a foodie, so I like to see how it's prepared and how it looks at the end of the day. Keith will always tweet me like, rank this food. Keith will send me his meals, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and be like, hey, rate this meal. And he does not eat very good. Like, he eats poorly, first off, and the stuff he eats looks nasty most of the time.
Really?
Most of the time. Sometimes he sends me some good stuff. Usually when he's eating out. Nothing he's ever prepared.
Keith's not a child, because children, if it doesn't look good, no matter what it tastes like, they ain't eating it.
Yeah, maybe so. All right, let's get to the mean things that have been said to us or to others throughout the week. Poncho just said one to you, Brian. He said, B-Mac's playing dumb. He probably dresses up to watch Purple Rain like a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I knew the song, and I assumed it was from a music video. I'm not lying.
Have you seen people dress up to watch Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that people do it.
It's bizarre to me.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that people do it, but I haven't witnessed it.
Do they?
There's certain cues and things that happen within the movie where you're supposed to throw things and do things.
I didn't know that.
There's apparently a whole production where the people are taking part of it, almost like they're part of the show.
I've never watched it.
Yes. Like
but
theaters.
I do know the cult following.
And theaters would like do the midnight showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show because they knew it was a bona fide sold out house of people that were coming in crazy and they were going to sell all the tickets.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I don't get it.
It's not for me. All right, other things.
You don't get that, but you get Jason Statham.
Jason Statham's
American hero.
Decent actor.
How did you come around on that?
I haven't come around. I've always said he's a decent actor.
By the way, Beekeeper, if you have Amazon Prime, it's on there for free. You can watch Beekeeper.
I do have Amazon Prime, and I will not be watching.
That's a shame.
I have to voice my grievances. I cannot stand when the morning show takes their darn vacations or whatever jolly good times and leaves us to listen to New York ESPN. How dare them morning shows? If I got to work, they got to take their bum to work.
Okay. What if we said that Lance was studying local government?
I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, based on evidence we heard today.
National ESPN Radio is garbage. We can't be saying that kind of stuff as an affiliate of ESPN Radio, can we? Can you fix that in post-production? Wow, screw you, Branham. I watched the game for the umpires, not the players. I think this was sarcastic,
I think it was Ben.
although I can never be sure. Yeah. That is a tough follow. You follow him on Twitter?
No, not anymore. Couldn't.
I know a lot of people that have him muted.
Yeah,
Or
I
just don't
did for a
follow him.
while, and it just got to be over the top.
Ben DeBose?
Yes.
Oh, he blocked me years ago.
And
He blocked you
that's
for
the
what?
thing that's
Yeah, it was during a lot. Well, we got in an argument about it was the Austin Rivers game in that Clippers Rockets series back in 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
And he tried to say that the refs were to blame for the Rockets losing to the Clippers in a game which they lost by like 30, and Austin Rivers scored like 28.
Really?
And so we had an argument, and he blocked me. Yeah.
He's very block happy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
we've had-
Very
that's
black
what's
happy.
surprising
He's
to me
soft.
is that I've called him out and we've had arguments, and he hasn't blocked me.
Maybe he respects you and doesn't respect Brian.
Clearly doesn't.
I've,
It wasn't the first argument we had. He also tried to blame the Texans losing the division race for the entire season over the refs in one game.
It doesn't surprise
See the
me.
theme? I think there's a theme that's developed
Yeah,
here
yeah,
that
yeah.
people need to realize.
I'm not a big block person, though. I don't like the block button. I
don't
just do
either.
the mute.
Yeah,
as soon
just
as you
mute 'em.
block, it's a win for that person. An annual thing, huh? You guys won't be around next year. That was mean. Saying we won't be around next year.
That
We've been
was not
around a
nice.
lot of years.
A lot more than I thought.
We've been around a lot of years. This guy says Jeremy is such a bad word. I don't know what I did. I don't remember what we were talking about.
That's the thing. They should leave references because we do that a lot. Like, what are they referring to?
This one was kind of random because I've been trying to make better note of like why they're saying these things. But yeah, I don't think you're right either. I don't think I'm bad word at all. This is a joke, right? This is whenever we were talking about the new Hive of Fame, the Killer Bee Hive of Fame.
Right.
Someone said this is a joke, right? Berkman, and then he goes, "Who the heck is blank?" Add Bregman as well, since he won 2 chips with him. So this guy acted like he didn't.
I could see Bregman beating me out.
No, well, he didn't know who blank was. He's been living under a rock, I suppose.
I think he's lying.
Probably lying.
Like Purple Rain.
Vinyl Voices at 7 o'clock. Hall of Fame at 8. Comicast at 9. Space Cowboys at 7:05 over on 92.5. Y'all be safe this weekend. Y'all watch the forecast this weekend. It's going to do it for us. Thanks, Brian, for working one day this week. He's Blank. I'm Branham. We'll talk to you on Monday. Y'all be safe.